Hello, welcome to Not a Lawyer podcast. Thank you for joining today. Happy Sunday, everyone. Today, I want to discuss the Nolan Wells case. I want to build a timeline with you guys. So let's discuss the facts so far that we have heard from all witnesses and begin building a timeline on this case. But before we begin, I want to play this video by Dr. Umar.
Only right
He discusses his thoughts and perspectives on the Nolan Wells case. So let's get started here.
to bring you back on. It's so much I want to talk to you about, though, man. It's so much to get into that I want to get your take on. Nolan Wells, how you feel about that situation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nolan Wells, Nolan Wells. You know, when the case first broke, Art, I just kind of sat back because I knew the YouTube and struggle streamers were going to run with it. I knew the white liberals on YouTube were going to run with it. I knew the white racists on YouTube were going to run with it, and everybody in between. It hurts my heart for Sister Christine, Nolan's mother, to have to see so many people using her son's name and crisis and tragedy for clickbait. And that's one of the biggest reasons, Art, I kind of stood back. It almost reminded me of the Freddie Gray police unaliving in Baltimore back during the Barack Obama era. When Freddie Gray lost his life to those police in Baltimore, everybody rushed to Baltimore. They did the same thing with Michael Brown in Ferguson, not because they necessarily cared about the tragedy, but because they wanted to benefit personally from it. And so I stayed away from Ferguson. I stayed away from Baltimore. And I stayed away from the Nolan Wells situation for a while because I didn't want to look like so many other people who just jumped in to have something to say to use that young man's loss of life for clickbait and views. Now that it's been over a month since he lost his life, I think it's okay for me to speak now because everyone else has kind of given their opinion, their analysis, their synopsis, and their feeling on the situation. So I'm going to give mine. First of all, Nolan Wells.
I felt the same way. I felt like, yes, we have been covering this case from the beginning, but I held off on saying some things because at that point, the mom hadn't put Nolan Wells's body to rest yet. Um, so after his body was put to rest, we started covering this case more extensively.
Javon, and I want Javon to hear this, and I want any other black person who was on Devil Horns Island that day to hear this. And I want any black person who was celebrating the 4th of July to hear this. No black person, no black freedman, no black immigrant, no member of the black race at all should have been celebrating July 4th, 2026. No one should have been celebrating America's 250th solar return. And why? Because our ancestors were still enslaved on July 4th, 1776. So why are we on White Devil Horns Island anyway, celebrating George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton and all these other white supremacists and slave masters? Why are we even celebrating them anyway? Nolan shouldn't have been out there. Javon shouldn't have been out there. No black person should have been celebrating the 4th of July, period. We would be enslaved for almost another century after America got her independence. So, what are we celebrating for? To celebrate the 4th of July as an African is to celebrate the enslavement of your ancestors and the freedom of your slave masters. It makes no sense. Now, with that being said, I'm not blaming Nolan in any way, shape, form, or fashion for his loss of life. I'm just simply saying he shouldn't have been out there. Now, let's take a closer look at this, Art. According to what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and what I've read, Nolan Warren, Wyatt, and Trayston left for Horn Island the morning of July 4th. According to Warren's own words that he offered during an interview with Officer B.T. Coon, that's Coon as in C-U-N-E, Coon as in K-H-E-W-N, Coon as in K-U-H-N, Coon as in C-O-W.
He's not holding back. This brother is not holding back, calling Brandon Tatum a coon. Oh, Jesus.
Coon as in K-H-E-W-N, Coon as in K-U-H-N, Coon as in C-O-N-N. So Warren did a sit down with Officer BT. And as we all know,
He said coon at least 10 times.
BT is white YouTube's pet monkey. He's white YouTube's pet monkey. So Warren sat down for an interview with white YouTube's pet monkey. And he said that they left for Horns Island the morning of July the 4th, and that it was approximately 30 of them spread across 3 boats.
Okay. So let me stop right there. We still have not seen all 3 boats leaving the dock. We see footage, that surveillance footage. They are actually at Jax's house. We have yet to see the appropriate footage showing all 30 leaving that dock.
Not to be dramatic, but you don't need.
Okay. Let's skip this ad. Let's continue.
Approximately 30 youth spread across 3 boats. They all went to Horn Island together. They arrived at approximately
11:14 a.m. to be exact.
11:30. So they left around 9-ish, 8, 9-ish, whatever the case may be. They left the morning of July 4th. They arrived on White Devil's Horn Island at about 11:30. So
Correct.
3 boats, 30 youth, they went together. I'm not clear on whether the 3 boats came back together or not. That's another question that I have, Art. Did they come back together?
Right. We also don't have footage of all of the boats returning. We're only seeing a handful of kids getting on a boat, according to the surveillance footage, at 9:53, 9:54 a.m. We don't have footage of them returning to the dock, for sure.
Together the same way they left together, because I'm treating all 30 of those white youth and all 3 of those ships as crime scenes and as suspects. All 3 ships are potential crime scenes. All 3 boats are.
That's correct. And according to our the official police report, only 2 boats were identified as part of the incident report, and only 1 boat we have GPS data for.
Are potential crime scenes, and all 30 youth are potential suspects. I don't know why Jackson County Sheriff Ledbetter or Jackson County District Attorney Mulrath, I don't know why they decided to separate the boat that Nolan was on. Warren's boat, I don't know why they separated that boat from the other 2 for purposes of investigation and analysis, because those 3 boats operated as a team. And since they went out there as a team, and it hasn't been made clear to me whether or not they came back together as a team, all 30 white youth and all 3 boats should have been part of this investigation.
Correct. I agree with this assessment. I also agree that all 3 boats should have been a crime scene, quote unquote, and all 30 should have been separated and interrogated individually. Whether that was done, we do not know.
not just the one boat. That is my first big issue with this case. Who decided to separate the other two boats in the other 20 or so youth? I got a problem with that, Art, because according to the Cajun Navy, they have no GPS information on the other two boats, Art. They have no GPS information.
That's correct. That is correct. And in fact, if we go by what the United Cajun Navy provided, in fact, there's 4 boats. There's more than 3.
On the other two boats. Now let's get into this. According to Warren and Nolan's other so-called white friends, they decided to leave the island around 4:30. So they were roughly on White Devil's Horn Island from 11:30 to 4:30. That is about 5 hours. About 5 hours.
Right.
Now, one question that has to be asked, Art, why did y'all leave so soon?
Right.
Because they party on Horn Island all day long. Y'all didn't leave at sunset. Y'all didn't leave at sundown. Y'all left after only being there 5 hours. That's a little suspicious, Art. And I haven't.
Right. I brought this point up before, many people have, because obviously it's the 4th of July. So why are you leaving so soon before fireworks? So that didn't make sense to me, but let's continue.
Heard anybody ask any of them, why did y'all decide to leave after only being there for 5 hours? Did y'all plan to only be on White Devil's Horn Island for 5 hours? Why did y'all leave at that time? But we'll deal with that later. So then let's listen to Javon, Nolan's other best friend.
By the way, we have to play Javon's interview. Let's do that next, okay?
Now, another problem I got with this whole story, Art, is Nolan allegedly had too many best friends. I'm trying to find out, how does Nolan have so many best friends? And why did all of these so-called best friends leave their best friend on White Devil's Horn Island without his cell phone and keys? I'm trying to figure this out. So Javon claims he's Nolan's best friend. Warren claims he's Nolan's best friend. And Trayston allegedly claims that he's Warren's best friend. So did Warren have 3 best friends? Excuse me. Did Nolan have 3 best friends? Did Nolan have 13 best friends? Did Nolan have 30 best friends? Because if Javon is the best friend of Nolan, and if Warren is the best friend of Nolan, and if Trayston is the best friend of Nolan, exactly how many best friends did Nolan have? Are y'all making this up? Who did Nolan tell Warren?
It's true, though. Everyone's coming out saying they're Nolan's best friends.
Was his best friend? Who did Nolan ever tell Trayston was his best friend? I'm not going to question Javon, because he's a brother. And I do believe that there's a strong chance that they may have been best friends. And I say that not only because Javon is a brother, Art, but I also felt that Javon, through the investigation team and alley-oop, with some of the answers that he gave on TMZ. Some of Javon's answers, in my opinion, kind of made it clear to me he actually cared about Nolan. I believe Javon actually cared about Nolan. And because of that, I'm willing to say that Javon may have actually been Nolan's best friend. I wish somebody would have asked Javon, Art, to your knowledge, has Nolan ever called Warren his best friend?
Yep.
Has Nolan ever called Trayston his best friend? To your knowledge, Javon, has Nolan ever told you that Warren and Trayston were best friends of his? Because, Art, I'm having a problem with this three best friend narrative.
It's true. Javon came out. He's his best friends. Warren came out, he's his best friends. Jax came out, that's my best friend. Wyatt, that's my best friend. Tristan, that's my best friends. Really? How many best friends does Nolan have actually? And where was his true best friends when he went missing? Like, where is the true best friend here?
Okay. I used to be 18 years old. You might have one best friend. You may have two. Don't get me wrong. If you all hang in a pack, you could have three best friends. But according to Javon's own words, Art, he didn't really hang around with them other guys too much. That's what I allegedly thought I heard him say. He didn't hang around with them guys too much. So if you got two or three or four best friends, you guys normally travel as a group. Javon seemed like he kind of spent most of his time with Nolan alone,
I want to play Javon's interview after this.
just the two of them, not with Tristan and Warren. Although he knew them, it didn't appear that he hung out with them on the regular. So how could they all then be best friends? It's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's unlikely. So, according to Javon, Art, he saw Nolan at 3:40 on the island.
So I'm going to, yeah, we're definitely playing Javon's interview, and we're going to notate the times he gives us. We're going to notate those times, okay?
According to Javon, what I heard him say to TMZ allegedly was that he had another friend who was involved in an altercation and that he left Nolan at about 3:40 to go check on his buddy, because according to Javon, his buddy was on another ship, and the parents of whomever on this other ship were trying to get him off the island.
He's talking about Tristan. We read that article, the Rolling Stones article regarding Tristan and his altercation and his fight, the fight he had on the island. So he's talking about Tristan now.
Because he was crashing out.
Yeah.
He never said who this friend was. He never exactly told us what happened. But he said, I left at 3:40 to go check on my friend on another boat because, quote unquote, well, these are not his words, I'm paraphrasing. He was kind of wilding out, crashing out, and he needed to help calm him down.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing.
Okay.
He said when he got back, Nolan was nowhere to be found.
But my understanding was that Nolan was also. We've really got to look into this because my understanding was that Nolan was also helping with the fight, with that Tristan fight. So did they all go to help Tristan? Or was it just Javon that went to help Tristan? Because here he's saying that when Tristan returned, listen,
to go check on my friend on another boat because, quote unquote, well, these are not his words, I'm paraphrasing. He was kind of wilding out, crashing out, and he needed to help calm him down. I'm paraphrasing. He said when he got back, Nolan was nowhere to be found.
So that part, we need to listen to Javon's interview. He's saying that when he went back from helping Tristan, that he did not see Nolan. Okay, so that's important.
And I'm paraphrasing. And Nolan's boat that he came on, Warren's boat, the so-called Big Daddy, the 22-foot Triton, had already left the scene. So according to Javon, I left Nolan at 3:40 to go deal with another situation. I came back, he was gone. According to Katie, the white girl who Nolan's white best friends are trying to use as an alibi in this situation. Okay, because they claim, and Warren said the same thing to Officer B.T. Coon when he spoke with him. They claim that Nolan told them, I'm going to hang back on this island and talk to Katie. You guys go ahead and I'll get back however I get back. Again, I'm paraphrasing. But guess what? We learned through Katie's sister that Katie said she has no knowledge of Nolan ever saying that. In fact, Katie said, Art, that Nolan told her, I got to get ready to head back to the boat because my friends are leaving soon. That don't sound like somebody who plans on staying, Art. Okay?
Now, this is what I don't understand about Katie, because wouldn't you want to? I mean, if Katie really cared about Nolan, right? Wouldn't you want to do the right thing and come out with your own accounts? Like, just she can totally negate everything that Warren, Jax, and the other boys are saying in their interviews. All she has to do is come out with her own freaking account about what happened and blow their stories out of the water. And that's something that she has not done yet. She hasn't lawyered up, and she hasn't said a word out here on social media, at least. Her sister spoke for her on her behalf. So all of this is strange. Thank you for being here, you guys. Hi, Jesse. Javon was with Nolan at 4 p.m. Where is his and his friend's timeline? That's odd. Yeah. I want to listen to his interview to see when was the last time he said he saw Nolan. Javon is in a picture with the kid with the bloody nose. There was a group fight. That dude on screen needs to be deported and sent to where they invented everything. And you need to be banned. All right, let's continue.
According to her sister, Katie said Nolan told Katie, it's time for me to head back to the boat because my friends are going to be leaving soon. As far as I'm concerned, Art, Javon and Katie both threw us an alley-oop. Javon and Katie are throwing Sheriff Ledbetter of Jackson County an alley-oop because neither one of them
in basketball is
are
like
corroborating the story.
You're throwing an assist, so it's like, not Reggie Miller, Pippen throwing an assist to Michael Jordan to to make the shot. That's what he's saying. Javon, his theory, his belief is that Javon and Katie are throwing an alley-oop. Why? Let's listen.
Javon and Katie are throwing Sheriff Ledbetter of Jackson County an alley-oop because neither one of them are corroborating the story of Nolan's white friends on that boat. In fact, Javon said, this ain't adding up.
We need to listen to that. We do need to listen to that TMZ interview. Javon does say this ain't adding up. That's interesting, right?
In fact, Javon said, this ain't adding up. Javon said, it's not like Nolan to say, you guys go ahead and leave me on this island and I'm just going to stay back to.
Well, the mom also says that. The mom also says that in her last, this is the 4th press conference they've had. And that's also a really good one. They do say they do mention a few things that I haven't heard of yet in this investigation. So that's another good video to watch.
Talk to this girl who I barely know. According to Javon, it don't make no sense. Javon ain't stupid, Art. That's his friend. He know damn well Nolan didn't tell them that he was going to stay back on that ship. And then Katie, I'm going to give a little bit of respect to Katie on this situation. Because as a white girl, Art, for her to come out and say that is not what happened, for her to come out and say that Nolan told me I got to get back to the boat because my friends are leaving, for her to say that, Art, that took a little bit of courage and honesty. That took a little bit of integrity.
I agree. That's why when she first came out, I was like, protect Katie at all costs, protect Katie. I can't believe she really came out with that. She basically went against the narrative. She went against the narrative, and there's something to say about that, right? Is it to throw off the investigation or is it her integrity?
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to give her too much credit because she is trying to clear her name. What Katie is basically doing, Art, is she's saying, listen, y'all did whatever y'all did to Nolan, but you're not.
No way, Justy. What do you? I have a Black community post with people asking why does Javon with scratch marks on his left arm with photo by TMZ. Interesting, Justy. Thank you for sharing that. We have to take a look at his interview a lot closer. I agree.
Not going to add me to the narrative. I'm not serving as nobody's alibi. I'm not helping nobody get out of this situation. You're not going to use me as a decoy, but I still appreciate Katie speaking up for Nolan, Art, because she didn't have to do it. Although she's trying to protect herself and stay out of the investigation.
Right.
Although she's trying to protect herself and stay out of the investigation, I appreciate Katie for letting the world know Nolan told me I got to head back to the boat because my friends are getting ready to leave.
Yeah, because if it wasn't for Katie to come out and state that, the narrative would totally have been that that's what it was. He stayed back. He stayed back with Katie, you know?
Now, according to Katie, Art, she spoke to Nolan sometime between 3 and 4:30. Now, her window appears to be wider than everybody else's window. So Javon's window is much smaller. He said, I saw him at 3:40, went to deal with another situation.
This is the part that's interesting because I have to look at this again. There was an account that actually Nolan was also involved in that situation with Tristan, like either helping him or something. So we need to know what happened here.
By the time I came back, they were gone. So Javon's window is much smaller. He said, I saw him at 3:40, went to deal with another situation. By the time I came back, they were gone. Katie said I spoke with him between 3 and 4:30. And I allege, Art, one of the reasons that Katie is making her window so wide is she trying to leave a little bit of wiggle room for Warren and them to get their story straight, allegedly. I think Katie trying to leave a little bit of wiggle room for Warren and them to get their story straight, Art.
Well, that doesn't make sense because 3 and 4:30, actually we know that they keep saying 4:30, but no, in fact, they did not leave. They did not start heading out of Horn Island at 5:25. According to the MDMR report and the GPS data, they were stationed up until 4:30, but they didn't begin leaving until 5:25. That's when the boat started picking more speed. At 5:25, that's when the boat started picking up speed. So this window is actually wider. This window he's talking about.
By the time I came back, they were gone. Katie said I spoke with him between 3 and 4:30. And I allege, Art, one of the reasons that Katie is making her window so wide is she trying to leave a little bit of wiggle room for Warren and them to get their story straight, allegedly. I think Katie trying to leave a little bit of wiggle room for Warren and them to get their story straight, Art. Now, according to our sister Christine, and my heart goes out to Sister Christine, Nolan's mother, my heart deeply deeply goes out to you, Queen. According to Christine Art, she heard from a coach who ran into Nolan on the island as well.
This is another witness. This is another witness that said they saw Nolan.
And according to the coach, he spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30. So Javon didn't see him after 3:40. The coach spoke to him sometime between 2:30 and 3:30. And Katie said her conversation with Nolan was between 3 and 4:30. So you know what that means, Art? We can pretty much digest, conclude that Nolan was likely to have been unalived, Art, sometime within the hour of 3:30 to 4:30. I'm going to insinuate that Nolan's life was taken because I do not believe he accidentally drowned. If he drowned, he was forcibly drowned. And we'll get to that in a minute. If Nolan drowned, he was forcibly drowned. He did not accidentally drown. He was a great swimmer. Miss me with the nonsense. That boy did not drown. If he drowned, it was by force.
And
have you heard about Pop-on sighting?
If he was in fact drowning, why didn't anyone hear? Like, you would have heard something, right? Like, there were so many people on that island. How could he have drowned with no one hearing? Like, help.
All three of these people, arguably the last three to see him alive, except for those who took his life. Katie, the coach, and Javon.
Katie, the coach, and Javon, right,
are arguably the last three people to see Nolan alive, except for those who took his life.
That is alleged. That is what he is allegedly stating.
On that boat, allegedly. That's my position. So they're all basically cutting off around 3:30 Art. Remember, they made the call for the emergency sea tow at 4 o'clock. Javon said he cut out 3:40. The coach, 3:30. They made the call at 4 o'clock. That conversation we heard, the sea tow call, which we're going to talk about in a minute, that took place at 4. It sounded like there was some struggling going on in the background. Nolan could have been getting unalived while they were making the call, Art. Nolan could have been getting unalived while they were making the call. Nolan could have been getting choked out while they was on the phone with Cito.
Maybe.
So again, Art, my position is Nolan lost his life somewhere within the hour of 3:30 to 4:30. Now, before we go any further, Art, I need Ben Crump, investigation team, and Sheriff Ledbetter's investigation team to have a conversation with Javon, because according to Javon's statements on TMZ, the police never spoke to him. And I have serious concerns with the manner in which this investigation has been carried out so far.
Hold on. Jesse said that Christina stated that the coach spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:15. This guy just said 2:30, 3:30, 2:30 to 3:30 for an extended period of time. Yeah, these interviews are legit important. That's why I want to also play their interviews, because they give a timeline, and we're trying to build a timeline here. Thank you, Jesse. I think he passed between 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and I think about all the loud music and fireworks going off. Well, all right, let's continue.
So far, Art, I have very serious concerns with the manner in which this investigation has been carried out so far. So anyway, Javon said police never spoke with him. Why? We need to...
Yeah. We heard that on that TMZ interview. Javon literally said that police never spoke to him. Yes. Why? Why though? For real.
Conversation with Javon, not because I think he's a suspect. I believe Javon is innocent, but we need to find out what he knows. That's number one. We also need a conversation, Art, with the coach. Who is this coach that Sister Christine said contacted her and told her he had a conversation with Nolan
Right.
on the island between
Right.
2:30 and 3:30? We need to find out what he knows. And according to Katie's sister, she is already cooperating with the authorities. But here's why those three got to be spoken to, Art. Not only so we find out what they know, Art, but did they see each other during their conversation with Nolan? Because Javon, if you was talking to Nolan and left him at 3:40, and if Katie was talking to Nolan sometime between 3 and 4:30, and if the coach was talking to Nolan between 3:30 and 4:30, Art, at least two of you should have ran into each other.
Right.
Did
Were
the
you guys
coach
all
see
together?
Javon?
Seriously, no, this is a good point. So, were you guys in a group? Did you guys see each other? Because, yeah, you guys, all three of you guys, this is a very good point. Katie, Coach, and Javon are all placing Noland on the island between 2:30 to 3:30 is when the coach said. Then you have Javon stating 3:40, and then you have Katie stating that she saw him at 3:30 as well. So were you guys all together? Like, what the fuck?
Did Javon see the coach? Did the coach see Katie? Did Katie see the coach? Did Katie see Javon? Did the coach see
Exactly.
Katie? Art, if all three of them are saying they saw Nolan for the last time, roughly within the same hour, hour and a half, Art, did y'all run into each other? Let me tell you why I'm asking this question, Art. And I'm not throwing no shade at my brother Javon. I like Javon. I'm not throwing no shade at Miss Katie McCormick. I don't know her. I'm not throwing no shade at the coach, Art. But the reason I need to know why all y'all put y'all time within the same frame and you may have not possibly seen one another, Art, are you guys keeping yourself out of the window
Right, right,
of
right.
witnessing?
Right. This is, I mean, could it be? They're saying, hey, 3:30, because we know after 3:30 is when shit went down. So that's it. We last saw him at 3:30. After 3:30, I don't know shit. You know?
This crime by saying you didn't see him after 3:30.
Right.
I want you to follow what I'm saying here, Art.
I'm
It's
following.
kind of interesting that they all saw him last at 3:30,
Right.
not after 3:30. Javon 3:40, roughly 3:30. My point is, Art, for all three of them to have the same exact time, if they did not see each other at all during these conversations with Nolan, are they pushing up the window of time during which they saw Nolan so they cannot be included in this investigation as a witness to a crime? In other words, Art, I don't think Javon had nothing to do with it. I know he didn't. But is he saying he saw Nolan a little earlier than he saw him so he can't be pulled into the investigation? I don't think Katie had nothing to do with the crime. But is Katie putting her conversation with Nolan a little earlier than it actually took place to make sure she can't be dragged into the investigation as a witness to a crime? Is
He's
it
spitting
possible
facts.
that the coach is putting his conversation with Nolan earlier than what it was, Art, to make sure he cannot get dragged into the investigation? I don't think they had anything to do with it, but they could have been a witness to a homicide, Art. They could have been witness to a homicide.
He's spinning facts. He's like, wait, 3:30. Everything, it could have happened. So now it just leads me to believe that whatever happened to Nolan could have happened after that 3:30 time.
I don't think they had anything to do with it, but they could have been a witness to a homicide, Art. They could have been witness to a homicide. If they did not see each other, If none of those three people, the coach, Javon, and Katie, if they did not see each other at all talking to Nolan, if none of them saw each other talking to Nolan, at least two of them are lying about the time they last saw Nolan. Are you following me, Art? All I'm saying is I have my suspicions as to whether or not this convenient 3:30 cutoff window, I have my suspicions that this convenient 3:30 cutoff.
Why are they all saying the same time? That's very interesting. When you have witnesses, we all know this, right? Law and order, we know. Freaking crimes unit. When witnesses all have a same time, 4 a.m., for example, Idaho 4, everyone has the 4 a.m. time down packed. It's a script. It's almost like it's scripted, right? The three o'clock cutoff time that they last saw Nolan seems almost scripted, allegedly.
Window may have not actually been the time they saw Nolan. They may have saw Nolan closer to the time he lost his life. Now, stay with me, Art. I want to back up for a minute. And I want to say this to Brother Elmore, Nolan's stepfather. And I want to say this to Coach Tracy, who I believe was one of Nolan's coaches. Brother Elmore, the stepfather, and Coach Tracy, the coach, both said on national television, Art, that they don't think race played a role in this at all. Elmore, Tracy, two dark-skinned black men in Mississippi, and both of them said on national television, I don't think race had anything.
They may have not wanted that heat, you know? They didn't want any beef whatsoever. They're just trying to find out what happened to Elmore just wants to know what happened to his son, you know?
To do with this case. I am disappointed in Brother Elmore. I am disappointed in Coach Tracy. How dare you help these young people avoid the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. federal hate crimes law, Art, by you.
Oh, Jesse, Austin Metcalf. That's the Carmelo Anthony case. Who said that to you? I wonder, are they getting revenge for Austin? And my question is, who is Austin and why the word revenge? Could this be our motive? Well, that happened in Texas though. That's the Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf. I've heard that rumor as well, but we don't know. I mean, really, that happened in Texas. How can you prove that, you know, it's a totally different demographic? This, you know, how do we know that that's related? That's weird. That's strange. But I did hear that before, you guys. I have always felt Javon knows something because Javon looks scared to me, especially in his first couple of interviews. Yeah, Angela, I'm going to check it out. It seems like he does, right? All right, let's play this.
Saying you don't think this had anything to do with race, Brother Elmore and Coach Tracy. You are helping these white folks avoid federal hate crimes charges.
I've thought about this. It's interesting. He's bringing this up. I've thought about this because what if it was a hate crime? What if it was about race? We actually don't know what happened to Nolan. We actually don't know. What if it was a hate crime, you guys?
And let me tell you why this is important, Art. Let me tell you why this is important. Under the federal hate crimes law, Matthew Shepard, James Byrd, signed by Barack Obama, 2009. Under the Federal Hate Crimes Act, Art, you can go to jail for life. You can go to jail for life under the federal hate crimes law. So if you can go to jail for life under the Federal Hate Crimes Act, Art, why is Nolan's stepfather and coach telling white folks they don't think it had anything to do with race? I still love my brother Elmore. I still love my brother Coach Tracy. But would y'all please watch what comes out of your mouth during this investigation? Because you are undermining justice for Nolan. I hope you're listening, Brother Elmore. And I hope
I agree with him because we don't know what happened to Nolan. So we cannot rule, not only we can't rule anyone out, we can't rule nothing out. We can't rule out the motive. If we don't have no, if we do not know what happened to Nolan, we can't even rule out the motive, and that's part of the hate crime, the motive.
you're listening, Coach Tracy. You are undermining justice for Nolan by saying you don't think race had anything to do with it. How in the hell do you know? How do you know if race had anything to do with it? How well do you know these young people? It was 30 of them, Art. It was damn near 30 white youth spread across 3 boats. How many of them did Elmore know? How many
That's true. There's a lot of kids.
of them did Coach Tracy know?
The exactly, we don't know the motive. There were so many kids out there.
So how are you going to go on TV and say, I don't think it had anything to do with race? Why are you helping them avoid accountability for what they may have done?
Right. It could also have been an accident. We don't know that. Right. We don't know if he, however, like if it was an accidental drowning, don't you think we would have known by now, you guys? Like, let's be real. Let's be real. If it was an accidental drowning, don't you guys think that we would have known this by now? Um,
I don't know if they did it, Art. You don't know if they did it. They don't know if they did it. And they definitely don't know if it was motivated by race. What they should have said, Art, is what Javon said. And that's why I like the young brother Javon. That's why I like that young brother Javon. His mother,
I want to play Javon's interview because he was asked. I can't believe he was asked this question, but let's continue.
Sister Tashima, shout out to you. You raised a good kid. When TMZ asked Javon if he thought it had anything to do with race, Art, when TMZ asked Javon if he thought this had anything to do with race, he said, what? I don't want to answer that question.
That's wild. If this is true, that's wild because not answering, you're already answering the question. By saying I don't want to answer it, you're legit.
I don't want to answer that question. Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Or Art, they could have said, I don't know. Nolan's stepfather could have said, I don't know if it had anything to do with race. Coach Tracy should have said, I don't know if it had anything to do with race.
No, it was never, the autopsy was never released. The autopsy was never released.
But to say you don't think it had to do with race when he was the only black boy across 3 ships? Are you out of your mind? Why would you say that and help them avoid the Federal Hate Crimes Act? Javon gave a better answer than those 2 black men.
Wow.
Javon, a child, gave a better answer than those 2 black men, Art, when he said, I don't want to answer the question. And shout out to Javon, Art. He's intelligent. You know why? Because by saying, I don't want to answer the question, he answered the question. Of course, race has something to do with it. This is the United States of America. Race has something to do with everything involving black people. The country was built on the backs of black people. It's maintained on black people. We are disproportionately represented in the criminal justice system, overrepresented in the unemployment line, under the poverty line. Of course, everything.
So basically, what he's trying to say is that, let me continue this.
In this country has to do with race. And I'm disappointed in us, Art, that we are so afraid to call racism what it is, that we literally got people asking us, when a white person takes the life of a black person, do you think it had anything to do with race? When a police officer takes the life or shoots a black person, do you think it had?
Okay.
I got a few questions.
I understand like where he's going with this, because the way this and the way this investigation was done, um you could say it was treated it's being treated unfairly from the very beginning, with Sheriff Ledbetter's statements to the media, immediately just ruling out foul play is suspicious to me. So, and it was also suspicious to the mom. It gave her pause. And let's hear what he has to say about Warren.
With that infamous Cito call, Art, and I want to deal with, I got a few questions for Warren. I want to deal with that infamous Cito call, Art, and I want to deal with Sister Tashima and Sister Christine's visit to Warren's home to get Nolan's cell phone. I want to deal with them two in a minute, but before I go there, I got a couple questions.
The mom, in the last press conference, mom also had a few things to say about the phone and the keys, you guys. They gave us more details on that part of it, which is super interesting.
Questions for Warren and his white friends. Nolan's best friend, and Warren even called Nolan his brother, Art. He even called him his brother.
He did say that.
He said they spent the night together before they went out to White Devil's Horn Island, Art. The night before, July 3rd, they stayed in the same home.
Right.
How do you stay in the same home with somebody, Art, and leave them on an island? How do you sleep in this?
Right. That's I didn't understand that part either. Because Warren stayed. It's clear to me that Warren was like the mutual friends, right? The mutual friends of Jax, Wyatt, and then on the other side you have Nolan, Javon, right? And Warren was somehow the mutual friends. At least that's what it appears to me. So Nolan stayed with Warren. They stayed over Jax's house, or whoever's house they stayed at on the 3rd. And, like you get a sense of, wow, Warren, like really, this was your best friend. You call him your brother, your best friend. But yet, how I just don't, it's not making sense to me how he would leave Nolan in the island, knowing that Nolan didn't have a ride back, knowing that Warren, you were his ride back to the mainland. Like you freaking slept with him the night before. It's just crazy.
Same house with somebody July 3rd and then leave them on an island July 4th. But I got a few questions for Warren. No disrespect. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty, but I got a few questions for you, Warren. Since you could sit down and interview with Officer B.T. Coon, I need you to sit down and interview with Dr. Umar Ifatunde. So you can sit down and interview with Officer B.T. Coon, I want you to sit down and interview with Dr. Umar Ifatunde. My first question to Warren. You said that Nolan is a best friend of yours, that he's like a brother. I have a question. If Nolan is your brother and best friend, why did you leave him on that island, especially when you all were drinking? Because somebody put a report out there, Art, that Nolan had been drinking heavily.
Especially Warren, like you said, he also makes some comments like everyone dies out. Everyone dies out there in Horn Islands. Like he made some comments like that. Oh, like it happens, people die out there all the time, he says. I'm paraphrasing, but he does say that. He's like, people die out there all the time, you know. Psst, it is what it is. So
and was intoxicated. Of course, that allegation was dismissed because the coach who contacted Sister Christine confirmed that he spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30, and Nolan was not intoxicated. So they lied to protect their friends because white people are always on code. Sister Christine confirmed that he spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30, and
that part, I need that confirmed. I need that interview where she says, I need that interview. Have you guys heard this? Chat, have you heard this where Christine says that she last spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30? Do you guys know what interview that is?
Sister Christine confirmed that he spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30, and Nolan was not intoxicated. So they lied to protect their friends because white people are always on code, Art. Not a single white person on that island dropped a dime yet. Not one of them. So anyway, Art, they tried to blame it on him being drunk. So he was just a drunk black kid who walked into the water and drowned. That's the narrative they wanted us to swallow. He was just a drunk black kid who walked into the water and drowned. And remember, Art, Sheriff Ledbetter allegedly ruled the case an accidental drowning before he did any investigation.
See, I think that's where it got racial. This is where it got racial, you guys. I believe, in my opinion, because how could you do that? Had it been a white male, female, this would have not. No. There would have been a complete and thorough investigation done. And a press release, a press conference. There would have been several press conferences keeping us all updated on the case. Mainstream media would have been all over it. So this guy is spitting facts right here. Sorry to say,
ruled
that's just a reality, you know.
Nolan's death an accidental drowning before he did any investigation. As far as I'm concerned, that meets the definition of public corruption. As far as I'm concerned, that meets the definition of public corruption. But stand with Warren, Art. Warren, if Nolan is your brother and best friend, why did you leave him on an island without his cell phone and his keys?
Can anyone answer that? I want like a legit answer to this question because this is a fair question. You slept with Nolan the night before and your buddies. You knew that you were Nolan's ride to and out of that island, yet you leave with his phone and keys.
Why did you take his cell phone and keys back to the mainland? You left him there and took his cell phone and keys back. Can you please explain that to me?
Yeah.
What person wants to be on an island without their phone? Help me understand that, Warren. I don't know of an 18-year-old who wants to be anywhere without their phone, Art. They don't want to be in school without their phone. They don't want to be at home without their phone. They don't want to be out of town without their phone. They don't want to be at the mall, the movies, the restaurant. They don't want to be nowhere without their phone, let alone on an island with no way to get off. You left your best friend on an island, your so-called brother. You left him on an island
with no transportation. No phone, nothing. Crazy.
Island with no way to get off, and you took his phone and his keys. Can you explain that to me, Warren? While you're thinking about it, I got another question for you, Warren, while you're thinking about it. You said at 11 o'clock, you called Miss Christine to see if she heard from her son. Warren said, Art, I called Miss Christine to see if she heard from Nolan. She said she had not heard.
You know what's crazy about this? Because Christine, Nolan's mom says she tried calling Nolan around 8-ish. On the last press conference, she says, I tried calling Nolan around 8-ish. Don't quote me on the time, guys, she says. She called several times. So what's crazy to me is that they had Nolan's phone. I'm sure if they were close to that phone, they would have heard Christine calling Nolan. You guys, that shit is wild. Do you guys ever watched? You ever read The Telltale Heart? Um, this the Warren story and his ass everything that Warren is telling us, the way he has come out here on social media, all of his statements, everything that it reminds me so much of that story, The Telltale Heart, with Edgar Allan Poe. He wrote that story, and in that story, he kills his neighbor or whoever it was living with him. But in that story, he kept on, he like, in his mind, he was so full of guilt that he heard the heart beating. He kept hearing the heart beating. He kept seeing that one eye of the victim. He would see that one eye watching him, you know, and he ended up, well, just go read the story. But it reminds me so much of The Telltale Heart, because Warren, he's out here, his behavior, all of the things he's doing, it looks so suspicious,
From Nolan. Can I ask you a question, Warren? If you took his phone, how in the hell was his mother supposed to hear from her son when you have the son's phone?
Right, which, this is my point. I know I was going somewhere with that, The Telltale Heart, which is my point. It was eating him, in my opinion. This is all alleged, in my opinion. It was eating him so much that he had to call Christine. You get where I'm going with it? It was eating him so much that he had to call Christine and say, hey, did you hear from Nolan? It's crazy.
Did you tell Miss Christine that you had her son's phone when you called her? I bet you didn't. Think about that, Art. He called the mother and asked her if she heard from her.
That call is suspicious. What do you guys think about that call? Think about it. This is Warren. According to Warren's accounts, he stayed behind with Katie. So now, if you're Warren, your boy, Nolan is chilling with Katie. He's getting his shit off or whatever. However kids say it nowadays. Oh, you're getting your shit off. Okay, cool. So if your boy stayed behind with Katie, why would you call Miss Christine saying, hey, have you heard from Nolan? Isn't that weird, you guys? That's what I think. Like, it was eating at him. Whatever happened, in my opinion, it was the guilt or regret. Something was eating at him that he's just like, fuck, he called her. He called her. I can't believe he called her.
Did you tell Miss Christine that you had her son's phone when you called her? I bet you didn't. Think about that, Art. He called the mother and asked her if she heard from her son. But he knows she didn't hear from her son, Art, because he has her son's phone. How can the mother hear from Nolan when you have Nolan's cell phone and you left him on an island? And I bet you didn't tell her you had his phone. Because if she knew you had his phone, Art, she would not have had to use Life 360 to find the phone. If you had his phone and you called her at 11 o'clock to see if Nolan was okay, why didn't you tell Nolan's mom you had his phone? Why did my sister Christine and my sister Tashima have to use Life 360 to find their son's phone? Because you playing games. You playing games. You playing in our face like we stupid. That's what this is. I don't know if he did it, Art, but he damn sure knows who do. I allege and I believe that all 30 of those white kids on all 3 of them boats know exactly which one of them did.
Why weren't these 30? I don't know why he keeps saying white kids, because we do know that there were a couple. Tristan is black, Javon is black. Okay, so that's at least 2 that I know of. So they weren't all white. But my point is, why weren't they all interrogated? Why weren't they all interrogated immediately? This is how an investigation happens. You need to get down to what happened to Nolan. I just don't get it, honestly.
It, and the rest of them are covering it up. And guess what, Warren? And the rest of you 30 white kids on those 3 boats, let me explain something to you. Federal hate crimes law, you can go to jail for the rest of your life. Why did
Okay, I think we're going to move on to Javon's interview, you guys. Okay. 1 second.
Miss Christine, you had her son's cell phone when you called and asked if she heard from him? Art, as far as I'm concerned.
So we also need to, we also need to know why.
Why didn't you tell Miss Christine you had her son's cell phone when you called and asked if she heard from him? Art, as far as I'm.
That's a good question. Why, when you called Miss Christine and asked, hey, have you heard from Nolan? Did Warren already know that he had, at this point, did Warren already know he had Nolan's phone? I don't know if that question has been answered. Chat, if you know that question, that'll be awesome. But listen to this. If you did call Miss Christine and say, hey, have you heard from Nolan? Did Warren know that? I'm sorry. Yeah. Did Warren tell Miss Christine, hey, I have Nolan's phone? Did he know that at this point?
Why didn't you tell Miss Christine you had her son's cell phone when you called and asked if she heard from him? Art, as far as I'm concerned, there's probable cause he has something to do with this. Art, I'm holding her son's cell phone. I left him on the island. I took his keys and phone, and I'm on the phone with the mom. I got his phone, but I'm calling his mother at 11 o'clock. Have you heard from your son? And I'm holding her son's cell phone, and I don't even tell her. Art, this ain't making.
That call at 11 to mom doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Chat, are you guys getting it? Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear like a solid explanation on why Warren, if Warren says by all accounts that Nolan was staying behind with Katie, why then would he call Miss Christine at 11 p.m. asking Miss Christine, have you heard from Nolan? I just want a legit explanation to this because it doesn't make sense.
No sense. This ain't making no sense.
No.
And I want to know from Sheriff John Ledbetter, Art, Jackson County Sheriff, you don't have probable cause just off of that alone? Somebody calls somebody's mom asking if she heard from him while they have their phone and left him stranded on the island. And if you care so much about Nolan, Art, if he cares so much about Nolan, the so-called white best friend, Art, why did you wait till 11 o'clock? Y'all left the island 4:30. Y'all left the island 4:30. If you care so much about Nolan, why are you not calling his mother until 11 o'clock? It's pitch black outside at 11 o'clock, Art. It's pitch black. It's almost midnight.
And on top of that, he said, "Oh, let me call." He said that he asked permission to call the Coastal Guard because he knew some people there. He knew some people, according to Christine. We're going to listen to that interview next, actually, and then we'll move on to Javon. But because we're on this topic already, I want to listen to what she says in that press conference about the phone. So, where was I going with this? Yeah.
And you wait till 11 o'clock to call his mom and ask her if she heard from her son.
Not only that, she also says that Warren asked for permission to call the Coastal Guard because he knew some people there, right? So, that part too is a little suspicious, Warren, because if you think that he might have stayed behind on the island, then you have a boat. Why didn't you tell your parents or, call your dad and stuff and say, hey, if you're really worried about him, why didn't you go back out there and look for your friends if you're so worried?
But he's supposed to be your brother and best friend. Listen here, Warren. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. And then I have a question for his dad too, Art. I don't know if you know this, but his dad has started an online fundraising platform for.
Okay, yes, we know that as well. So let's listen to Nolan Wells conference. Let's listen to Christine and what she says about when Warren calls her. It's this one. No, actually, they're sitting down. But they're... This one. Here we go. Yeah. Let's play it.
If you got hit, even if you were not...
Okay. And listen to what Christine says
in the conversation. There you go.
Here.
I told Christine if we cry on this stage, it's okay, because we're among family.
Amen.
So you take your time. Christine, I'm going to start with you. On Friday, July 3rd, Nolan made you dinner. And so as you're telling us about the last time you saw your baby boy, I want you to talk to us about who Nolan was and tell us about that day.
So Nolan is and was an incredible soul. He was the person who, no matter where you were in life, what was going on,
Okay, here we go.
So
This is the...
And this is probably, I think, maybe around 8. Didn't have anything planned for the 4th. I'm not. So, and when I knew that,
Okay.
he leaves that day with, he drives his car. And he told us kind of a general, like, hey, we're going to go to the island. Like, we knew that. I'm staying at Jack's house. And Jax was a friend I think we've met in passing before. And that's the thing, I always say there's a difference in meeting someone, knowing of someone, and then knowing someone. Knowing implies that we've sat down, we've had discussions about your hopes, your dreams, knowing you, okay, hey, he stayed the night at my house, which Wyatt, one of his friends, he had stayed at our house a couple of times. And then Jax, again, that was one I just maybe saw in passing a few times. There was only a handful of young men that we actually knew, like he grew up with. And when I say grew up, I'm saying from like first grade, they've known each other all through high school now that they're graduated. And that would be like Jalen and Javon, LeBaron. Those are kids that we knew. So it's been hard seeing all this kind of play out.
Yeah.
And, these are people that he considered friends.
Yes. Dad, I want to ask you, because it was Warren Hudson, one of the people that he traveled with, who called to alert you all that Nolan was missing.
Yes.
So we know at 5:44, the boat returns, Nolan is not there. At 11.
Okay, these timelines are important, okay? 5:44, boat returns back to the dock, right? Nolan wasn't there. Okay.
11 p.m., he calls to say Nolan is missing. I wonder if either of you, whoever wants to answer, what happened in those few hours that prompted Warren to be concerned?
I'm not quite sure what would prompt him to be concerned, but all I can say is what I did that day. So me and my sister, we made an order of pancit, which is a Filipino noodle dish for one of our friends. They were having a big family get together, and we really didn't have anything planned for the 4th. So me and my sister are, cleaning up, and this is about 8. And she's like, hey, Nolan hasn't texted us. And that was the thing. Nolan was really big with communication with us, right? And so I call him, doesn't answer.
So she calls him around 8, you guys, okay? Again, not knowing that Nolan didn't have his phone on him at this point. Okay.
I end the call back, and this is probably, I think, maybe around 8. Don't quote me on the times, guys. So then I call again later around 8, still no answer. And then I want to say I called one more time, and I think that.
So she calls at least 3 times. At 10:48 is the last time, you guys. This is shortly before Warren makes that call out to mom at 11:07. Okay? This is why I keep saying, this is like the telltale heart. For some reason, something prompted. What prompted Warren? That guilt or something, in my opinion, allegedly prompted Warren to call the mom.
I was at like 10:48. So I'm in the kitchen. My phone rings. Now, this is probably like early 11 o'clock, somewhere around there. Phone rings when I make it back to the phone, and I'm like, whose number is this? Because, we get weird phone calls sometimes. They didn't leave a message. Number pops back up. I pick up the phone because it says maybe Warren. And I'm like, Warren? So this is 11:07.
So Warren called before 11:07, and obviously the mother didn't recognize his number, which tells me this is no best friend. Miss Christine didn't even have his number saved on her phone. This is no best friend, right? So she said, oh, it says maybe Warren. Okay, let me pick up.
That's per my cell phone records. So I answered the phone, and he's like, hey, Miss Christine, have you seen or talked to Nolan? I said, no. Why? He should be with you guys. And he said, oh, no, well, when we went to the island, there was a girl named Katie that he met, and he had decided to stay behind. And I said, what? Because we know our child.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? There are just some things that as a parent, your son won't do these things because it's a pattern of behavior. Like, I know my son's pattern of behavior, essentially. And I know Nolan would never go out to the islands, which they have before. According to Warren, this wasn't their first time out on the island, right? They've been out on the islands before with Nolan. So mom's like, wait a second, I know my son's behavior, and I know this is not something he would be doing.
And Nolan isn't one to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and I'm going to stay here with this girl that I just met. So I'm on the phone with him. Now I'm in a panic. I'm running into my room. Elmore was in bed watching a different movie. And I'm like frantic. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, Nolan is missing. I'm trying to pull up the GPS as I'm talking to him. And at some point, he tells me that I was like, well, his phone says GPS Life 360, not Snapchat.
Right.
Life 360 says that he's on land, and he.
So check it. As soon as Warren called, she immediately checked Life 360, and it showed that his phone was on land.
Was like, well, no, I mean, we have his phone.
So okay. That answers my question. Warren already knew. Warren knew he had Nolan's phone, you guys. Warren knew he had Nolan's phone. That shit is wild, bro. Oh my God, that's wild. Listen.
Life 360 says that he's on land, and he was like, well, no, I mean, we have his phone.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if this was your kid missing, lost somewhere out in Horns Island, and you're on the phone with his friends, with his best friends, quote unquote, supposedly, allegedly, and his best friend is now telling you, oh no, I have his phone. What the fuck? What do you mean you have his fucking phone? How the hell am I going to reach my son if you have his fucking phone? Wow, you guys.
Phone.
Wow.
And I'm like, wait, what? And I'm like, okay. Because at that point, you're telling me, this is coming from Warren, don't worry about it. We're going to find him. It's going to be okay. Don't tell me not to worry.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. My fucking son is out there in Horn Island with no phone, and you're telling me not to worry about it? Bro, this kid has some nerves.
Is my child, my flesh and blood that I brought into this world, and you're telling me not to worry. Absolutely not. So then it was after the phone call ended, of course, asking him for information. What was he wearing? He was like, last seen, Northwest tip, black shorts, sunglasses. That's important.
Black shorts, sunglasses. Now, black shorts. Well, all we're seeing is blue shorts. So why would Warren say black shorts? Why would Warren say black shorts? That's another question.
So I end up calling DMR, spoke with the DMR. She took all
Just
the
for our audience, DMR.
So DMR is because he went missing on the island. They are basically the marine people, right? They're the ones who's going to launch the boats to go into the water and all that. But before getting off the phone with Warren, he was like, hey, I know some people at Coast Guard. I said, okay. He's like, I'm going to call Coast Guard. You call DMR. Get on the phone with DMR.
Listen, so he said, I know some people. Hold on.
I end up calling. He was like, last seen, Northwest tip, black shorts, sunglasses. That's important. So I end up calling DMR, spoke with the DMR. She took all
Just for our audience, DMR.
So DMR is because he went missing on the island. They are basically the Marine ones who's going to launch the boats to go into the water and all that. But before getting off the phone with Warren, he was like, hey, I know some people at Coast Guard. I said, okay. He's like, I'm going to call Coast Guard. You call DMR. Get on the phone with DMR.
Okay, so he said, I know some people at Coast Guard is what he said.
I give the young lady the information. And she tells me, hey, you know, I got this. Let me call you back. Because she was like, I'm not sure if this is going to be in our jurisdiction, essentially. So then she calls back and she tells me, okay, yeah, you know, we spoke with Coast Guard. And I'm like, okay, but they're like, this isn't our jurisdiction. You have to contact the city of Ocean Springs. I said, okay, hang up the phone, call in Ocean Springs Police Department. They say, hey, you have to physically come down and give a report. I said, okay. So on our way, because we don't live that far from the police station, on our way there, I was like, well, let me stop by the hospital, because there's a hospital that's maybe 5 minutes up the road from our house. Stop by there. I'm like, hey, have you guys seen this kid? Has he been brought in? The lady's like, no, ma'am. You know, we hadn't. I said, okay, thank you. Run out. We go to the police department. Get to the police station. And the officer basically says, again, this is out of our jurisdiction. And at that point, I'm like, my God, who am I supposed to talk to? Who is supposed to help me with this? So then he said, it's going to be, you would have to call DMR. I was like, we've already called DMR. DMR said it's not in their jurisdiction. So we end up, I think at some point I had called Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Yeah. So she calls back and she's like, hey, are you there? I said, yes, we're here. But he's telling us the same thing you guys told us, which is no, we can't take it. She gets on the phone with the police officer. Now this is Jackson County Sheriff's Department speaking with the Ocean Springs Police Department. Ocean Springs Police Department is saying, this is why we can't take this information. She says, okay. He gives me the phone back and she's like, okay, I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to take the information. And that was, we met an officer. It was after midnight. Right. Yeah, it was somewhere after midnight. Met him in the McDonald's parking lot, gave him the information. He was just like, okay, thanks. That I was like,
what the fuck? Could you imagine this? Could you imagine this? Because if this had been a white kid, this would not be happening. I'm sorry to say, this would not be happening if this was a white kid. There's no way in hell this would be happening right now, what she is going through with law enforcement. This is insane. This is insane. No wonder she called Ben Crump. No wonder. It's fucking bullshit.
Sell what you don't wear with no fees.
It's fucking bullshit. She just wants to know what happened to her fucking son. They're giving her the fucking runarounds. It's like they're putting her through the ringer here. And she just wants to know what the fuck happened to her son. Unbelievable.
Like, where is the urgency?
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
And so, as far as we know, there were no boats on the water that night. We actually, his high school football coach, Coach Bramlett, texted Elmore that morning. He said, hey, man, I got a boat. Because, again, we don't have boats. Let me make that very clear. We do not have a boat. We're not boating people. We don't do water like that, okay? So Coach Bramlett's like, hey, I got a boat. So we was like, great, let's go. We're on the water. We go out there. We walk the island. Cell phone works perfectly fine. I actually had an...
Cell phone works perfectly fine on the islands. There you go.
Almost an entire conversation with my grandmother, who was in a panic, as we're walking this island looking for anything.
I just want to pause there. The cell phone worked fine because in the reporting, there's been so much reporting that there's poor cell phone reception. And this is some of the disputes that we have about that night. Dad, feel free to jump in here because they're saying he met this young lady, Katie, and that he stayed back. According to the reporting, Katie is saying no. He said he was going to go with his friends. According to the reporting.
Well, the first inconsistency was you called me and tell me my son stayed on the island to talk to a girl. My son would never do that.
I mean, they know their kid. They know their kid. And when you know your son or daughter, you know this is unusual behavior. This is not like my kid.
That's not in his character. I didn't raise none of my kids to do that. The second thing is, you say he doesn't have his phone. He doesn't leave his phone. I would wake up sometimes in the morning and Nolan would have his phone here right in my face. And I'm waking up cussing and fussing like, boy, you don't get the camera on my face. And he just laughing and giggling and stuff like that. So that's twice. To me, there's two lies you told me as a father. Like I said, we went on the island. And actually, a classmate of mine called me that morning as we were going out to the island with Nolan's coach. He's like 40 miles away. He calls and, hey, man, I got the boat. Me and my boys, we're going to go out there and help you look. I didn't call him. He called me. And we're going to start on this end. I said, well, we're probably going to start on the other end. So me, my wife, Coach Bramley, and a high school classmate of mine were the only, we were the first ones out there looking.
Yeah, on the police report, it says literally on that MDMR report that when they started heading out looking for Nolan, it says that they actually bumped into the Welleses while the Welleses were out there looking for their son. This law enforcement has done a terrible job from the very beginning. They did not give a shit. They did not give a shit. They didn't start searching for Nolan until noon time on the 5th is when they didn't start searching for Nolan.
Like I said, we docked the boat, got out the boat, walked on the island. She had a whole conversation with her grandmother on the island. Got back on the boat, went back around the island. I guess that would be the north side, facing the Gulf of Mexico. I get another phone call. So my phone worked fine. So this whole thing about not having phone service, I don't know. I don't know if it's the carrier or what, but ours worked fine. I think those around maybe 8 o'clock.
Yeah, because we finished up around.
Who was it? Jackson County or
Jackson County Sheriff
finally showed up.
Yeah,
a couple of boats. They finally showed up. By that time.
Wait, what are you saying, Miss Gigi? The guilt will lead to one of these kids eliminating themselves. The parents are doing their sons a disservice. You mean whose parents? Warren's, the other boy's parents, you mean? Okay, let's continue.
I was like, he's not out here. I was more focused that he was at someone's house.
That was
so. That's where my hopes and feelings were. So we left. The county stayed out there. My friend, he stayed out there because he called. He's like, well, we're going to stay out here a little bit longer. I said, okay, I appreciate it. So we leave. Then I would say maybe a couple hours later, my friend calls me back.
Okay, here, let's get to the
part. As far as getting.
Let's get to the part of the car keys, okay? Because that goes to Jax's house for the car keys.
The car back. After we gave our report to Jackson County, the sheriff department that night, we were trying to figure out who to get a report to. We had a friend in the family that located his phone. We wasn't there to get the phone, but apparently there was some kind of friction with getting his phone.
Yeah,
We don't
and
know what the friction
so
was.
the phone and the key were at the same location, which was Jack's house.
Okay.
And again, all of these kids share their locations on Snapchat. And so she was like, hey, I can go pick his phone up, not thinking that his car is there, you know, which she stopped everything she was doing. Her and the boys, they went out. Like, we were all out searching.
I don't think you're getting the point, Mel. They weren't reporting someone missing at this point. They contacted the coastal guard. They obviously felt that Nolan was left on the island. There should have been search and rescue done immediately. Immediately. There should have been search and rescue team out there on Horn Island looking for Nolan. You're not understanding.
Searching for him that night. And yeah, like Elmore was saying, there was an issue, some type of friction. The cops ended up coming and they left. And so then kind of the same thing when we came to pick up the key, Elmore went up there asking for the key, didn't know where the key was. And all of a sudden we know where the key is.
But see, hold on. But see, this is another thing that bothered me too. When we got to the house,
Exactly.
It was some of his other friends.
Exactly. Immediately. Thank you, Sister Knight. There should have been search and rescue done immediately looking for Nolan. Justice requires more than laws. It requires people willing to speak when something is wrong. Thank you.
Friends were there, and they were, beating on the door like, what Nolan there, beating on the door trying to get in the house. So I walk up to the door and I'm calming them down because for one, okay, you're allowed. Two, you're in these people's house. So if you tear these people's house up, that's beating on the door trying to get in the house.
What Elmore is expressing is when he went to pick up the car keys, he wasn't alone. It looks like Elmore was with Nolan's true friends. I'm going to say true friends because they were fucking kicking that door down. So Elmore was like, hey, we have to calm down. Listen to what he's saying. He said, we have to calm down here. Everyone, like, this is interesting to me because this is coming from Nolan's true friends. If Nolan's true friends were ready to fight someone, they were ready to fight out there. So to me, it sounds like they sensed something was wrong. If this is how they approached Jax's house or wherever they were, they sensed something was wrong, right? Listen.
They went out. Like, we were all out searching for him that night. And yeah, like Elmore was saying, there was an issue, some type of friction. The cops ended up coming and they left. And so then kind of the same thing when we came to pick up the key, Elmore went up there asking for the key, didn't know where the key was. And all of a sudden we know where the key is.
But see, hold on. But see, this is another thing that bothered me too. When we got to the house, it was some of his other friends were there, and they were, beating on the door like
they were beating on the door. So Nolan's real friends were beating on the door is what Elmore is saying. Like, what the fuck is going on here? They were ready to fight. Listen.
Where Nolan at? Where Nolan at?
Where Nolan at? Where Nolan at? They said. So these are his true friends here.
I walk up to the door and I'm calming them down because for one, okay, you're allowed. Two, you're in these people's house. So if you tear these people's house up, that's gonna be a whole nother issue. I don't want y'all bothering it. And three, I need you guys to calm down. And I need them to kind of trust me as being an adult.
That's what he said. I need you guys to calm down. I need them to trust me. So calm down, he told them, right?
So I get them out the house, and then Jax finally comes down the stairs, I guess in the room. Hair all messed up like he just woke up, whatever. I said, look, I'm Nolan's father. His car's outside. I need to get his car and all his personal effects that may be left over here. And he goes, oh man, Nolan was like my brother. I said, Nolan was like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go and get everything of his so I can get his car, I can go home. So he walks off. 2 or 3 minutes later, he come back. I don't see the keys. Okay. So I leave out the house, go back outside, stand by the car.
So they didn't hand the keys immediately. So they don't hand over the keys immediately. Listen.
So he walks off. 2 or 3 minutes later, he come back. I don't see the keys. Okay. So I leave out the house, go back outside, stand by the car.
Can you get the boys ready for the park, please?
During that time, one of the guys that was in the house, one of the other friends, he was on the phone with a girl who was apparently there with them earlier that day. And she was telling, she walks off. 2 or 3 minutes later, he come back. I don't see the keys.
2 or 3 minutes later. So they're there for some time, you guys. These people are not handing over the keys right away. Listen. So I just don't understand this. I don't understand this treatment. Why are you treating the family this way? You know, I don't get it.
Left over here. And he goes, oh man, Nolan was like my brother. I said, Nolan was like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go and get everything of his so I can get his car, I can go home. So he walks off. 2 or 3 minutes later, he come back. I don't see the keys. Okay. So I leave out the house, go back outside, stand by the car. During that time, one of the guys that was in the house, one of the other friends, he was on the phone with a girl who was apparently there with them earlier that day. And she was telling him that his keys was on top of the Xbox in his room. So he goes back up to the door by himself, and we're still out by the car. And lo and behold, here comes the keys. So now to me, you lied to me 3 times. I don't believe nothing that you tell me. From here on out.
Wow. So Jax lied to Dad. Jax said, oh, wow, that he didn't know where the keys were. Why? Like, this is crazy.
I go to the door by herself, and we're still out by the car. And lo and behold, here comes the keys. So now to me, you lied to me 3 times. I don't believe nothing that you tell me. From here on out.
And this is Jax.
This is Jax.
And eventually he does give you the keys.
Yeah, eventually give.
Wow. So first Jax tells Dad when Dad goes to get the keys, the first thing he says is that Jax stayed behind with Katie, and he said that's the first lie. He would never stay behind. No, that's a lie. Then he said the second lie was when he told him that he left his phone behind. Dad says no. Nolan will never leave his phone behind. That's a lie. And the third lie was not knowing where Nolan's keys were. Literally lied to his face.
But there was friction getting the keys.
Yes. So for one, you tell me my son is on left still on the island with a girl. 2, you have his phone. And 3, you don't give me the keys when I ask. I don't know any father who would believe, just if one of my friends did that. I'm going to be cordial with you, but I'm going to watch you. And I just...
Ben, I want to ask you, because I'm hearing these 2 parents who essentially had to become search and rescue or law enforcement. looking for their own child with such
Yeah.
a lack of urgency on behalf of law enforcement. Obviously, we're talking to Black journalists.
I agree with that 100%. Now let's go to Javon's interview. I just wanted to play that portion of the phone and keys. And now let's go on to Javon's interview with TMZ. See what timeline he gives us here. Thank you all for being here. Hi, Jules. Scared punk ass with your parents there. Like, what the fuck? Thank you so much for being here, you guys. All right, hit that like button if you're in here and you like this content. Thank you so much. All right. So here is the interview.
They have not seen any.
Nolan's best friend via Tea with Becca. See, I don't know. The classic codes. Open book. I'm trying to find. See, I know that TMZ deleted this clip, but I know everyone took it. Hold on. See, like I can only find it via a content creator. And the only thing with that is like we'll have to listen. Fuck. I guess I'm gonna have to play this one. Here we go.
With Javon on TV.
See what I mean? Like I don't want to listen to her.
Like they need to get all them boys.
I just want to listen to the interview.
I can't
Here.
back to land because the boat, and they were trying to as he was in the altercation, I was calming him down. They were trying to get him out off the island. They were trying to get him back to land because he was just.
This is not going to work for me. We need that interview. Javon interview with TMZ.
Actually on Horn Island that day, saw Nolan.
Just said.
See, he's talking over it also.
We seen they did.
See?
On a piss poor job.
Yeah, I can't do it. I need the interview without anyone talking over it.
Seen it. At this point, they have not seen any. Never. And these other people.
Let's see if this guy's talking.
It probably was around.
Oh no, this guy seems quiet. All right, shout out to this channel.
It was around. I want to say around like 100 people. Cool. Like everyone from Horn Island.
All right, we found a good one. Shout out to this channel, Black Gotti. We are going to play it. It seems like he's not providing any commentary on here, so let's play it. Ready? What's up, Skulls? Hello. I know TMZ is fake, but this interview is not fake, and we need to listen to the interview. Unfortunately, I know I can't stand them either. You can't take their reporting seriously. We can't, but unfortunately, they have this interview. So let's list Open Book. Oh, I love that channel, by the way. I've been following 100. Thank you so much for being here. I've been following Open Book. She drops some nuggets. I tagged you in a post under Steve's name. Okay, here we go. Let's play it.
That everyone at Horn Island, like 100.
Describe your interaction with Nolan that day on the island.
Okay, yeah. So it probably was around, I want to say around like 100 people. Like everyone from Horn Island, everyone at Horn Island, like that live on the coast, were there pretty much. Obviously, it was older people. There's a lot of people there, like honestly. But I seen Nolan whenever I had got out there around. I got out there around 11 o'clock. I had walked down to their boat. I had seen him, and it was like a whole bunch of people. I didn't expect it. So I seen Nolan. As soon as I seen Nolan, he's like, "Hey, bro, what you doing? Like, I love you, dog. I love you." And then we were just hanging out, chilling, just having a good time. And then so around, I want to say around 3:40, 4 o'clock, altercation had happened between one of my other friends.
I want to say 3:30, 4 o'clock, he said. Listen, 3:30, 4 o'clock, he said.
Altercation had happened between one of my other friends. I don't want to say his name, but he had got an altercation. So I went and checked on him, chilling, just having a good time. And then so around, I want to say around 3:40, 4 o'clock.
3:40, 4 o'clock. He says 3:40, 4 o'clock.
Altercation had happened between one of my other friends. I don't want to say his name, but he had got an
Trayston. So we later learned that it was Trayston, an altercation, okay?
Altercation. So I went and checked on him for about 20 minutes, 20 to 15 minutes. I came back, Nolan's boat, and the people that
20 to 15 minutes, he was gone. I came back and Nolan
he was with were gone.
And Nolan was gone. What?
20 minutes, 20 to 15 minutes. I came back, Nolan's boat, and the people that he was with were gone. But the thing about the two boats that I said, there were two boats.
He said, and the people he was with. So it's important to note that Javon is stating that Nolan wasn't with Javon. Nolan was with this other group of people.
15 minutes. I came back, Nolan's boat, and the people that he was with were.
And the people that he was with
were gone. But the thing about the two boats that I said, there were two boats tied up. So therefore, I didn't know which boat Nolan exactly was on because they were both tied up.
Javon, have you seen the video that's been going around?
He doesn't know which boat Nolan was on because they were both tied up.
Social media where people.
So when he went back, the boats were tied up. Hold on.
And then we were just hanging out, chilling.
Hold on. Let's go.
1 o'clock. I had walked down to their boat. I had seen him. And I was
okay, so he saw him at 11 first. Originally.
There, pretty much. Obviously, it was older people. There was a lot of people there, like, honestly. But I seen Nolan whenever I had got out there around. I got out there around 11 o'clock. I had walked down.
So he said he saw Nolan at 11 o'clock. Okay. All right.
To their boat. I had seen him. And it was like a whole bunch of people. I didn't expect it. So I seen Nolan. As soon as I seen Nolan, he's like, "Hey, bro, what you doing? Like, I love you, dog. I love you." And then we were just hanging out, chilling, just having a good time. And then so around, I want to say around 3:40, 4 o'clock, altercation had happened between one of my other friends. I don't want to say his name, but he had got an altercation. So I went and checked on him for about.
Okay, so to me, it sounds like he was chilling with Nolan, and where Nolan was at 11, he stayed around there. This is what it sounds like to me, that he stayed around there where Nolan was. And then he moved. When there was an altercation, that's when he moved from where he was with Nolan. According to this, listen.
Happened between one of my other friends.
So he says they were chilling.
And then so
chilling,
around, I want to say around
having a good
3:40.
time. They were chilling, just having a good time, right? So he saw Nolan at 11 a.m. I am taking this as he was in that same spot, right? Around the same spot with Nolan, where Nolan was around that time. And then something changed. Something happened. And this is where it changed. What happened?
4 o'clock.
So around 3:40 to 4, this altercation happened and something changed.
Altercation had happened between one of my other friends. I don't want to say his name, but he had got an altercation, so I went and checked on him.
So he left. So all of a sudden, he is no longer where Nolan is. This is what he's telling us, that he left. So now you no longer have eyes on Nolan, right? This is what you're telling us. At 3:40, that's it. You left. Okay?
For about 20 minutes.
This makes sense. This kind of ties into what Umar was stating, that Dr. Umar guy. He basically, essentially what he was stating is that at this time, 3:30, 3:40, everyone magically wants to create this narrative that they last saw Nolan, that's it, 3:30, 3:40, because then I went on to do other things. Sorry, I wasn't there. I went on to do other things. Now I'm going to help this other dude with an altercation. So I'm no longer, don't put me next to Nolan, because I'm no longer there, is how I'm taking it.
20 to 15 minutes. I came back.
So he went to this stupid altercation, and now he says, oh, 20 to 15 minutes. That's all I took, right?
Like Nolan's boat and the people that he was with were gone.
So within 20 to 15 minutes, that boat is gone. There's a problem here. There's a huge problem here. There's a huge problem here because we heard from Bart's attorney. We're hearing from Bart's attorney that when they made that call to the CETO, they were still stationed and anchored when that call was made. So, Javon, what do you mean? What do you mean within 20 to 15 minutes they were gone? This doesn't make sense.
Chilling, just having a good time. And then so around, I want to say around 3:40, 4 o'clock, altercation had happened.
How convenient. 3:40, 4 o'clock. How convenient. So this altercation happened. That CETO call happened. Is this a coincidence or what? That all of these things are now happening around the same time?
Between one of my other friends, I don't want to say his name, but he had got an altercation, so I went and checked on him for about 20 minutes.
He checked on him for about 20 minutes.
20 to 15 minutes. I came back, Nolan's boat and the people that he was with were gone.
And that people that he was with were gone. He doesn't say Nolan, though. He doesn't say Nolan was gone. He says Nolan's boat and the people that he was with were gone within 20 minutes. How could that be? How could that be if they didn't leave until 4:30? How could that be if that boat was stationed there up until 4:30 and they didn't start picking up speed again till 5:25? They didn't pick up speed again. It's all on the reports. These are facts. It's on the report. So this is not making sense to me.
But the thing about the two boats that I said, there were two boats tied up. So therefore, I didn't know which boat Nolan exactly was on because they were both tied up.
Javon, have you?
So when he saw Nolan, when he got there at 11, he saw Nolan on the boat. He says there were two boats tied up, and he doesn't know which boat Nolan was in.
Have you seen the video that's been going around social media where people think that they're hearing an argument between people and they're wondering whether or not Nolan is one of the people in that argument? You just described
Let me screenshot this real quick.
that you had another friend, not Nolan, another friend who was in and got into a dispute. Is that video the other argument that you were talking about?
Yes.
So, but is that Nolan in the video?
I can't tell. It's too far away. But in that video, I feel like the voices are too clear. Like from the side, it's too clear for it to be that far away, for it to be Nolan arguing. And then also that altercation, it sounds just like my other friend that got
going around social media where people think that they're hearing an argument between people and they're wondering whether or not Nolan is one of the people in that argument. You just described that you had another friend, not Nolan, another friend who was in and got into a dispute. Is that video the other argument that you were talking about?
Yes.
So, but is that Nolan in the video?
I can't tell. It's too far away. But in that video,
Hold on. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's look at this video really quick in slow motion, okay? Thank you for being here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the video they're trying to point out that there was an altercation going on here. And screaming, right? So they're going to ask Javon, was that Nolan screaming? Okay, let's play it. Ready?
That you had another friend, not Nolan, another friend who was in and got into a dispute. Is that video the other argument that you were talking about?
yes.
So, but is that Nolan in the video?
I can't tell. It's too far away. But in that video, I feel like the voices are too clear. Like from the side, it's too clear for it to be that far away, for it to be Nolan arguing. And then also that altercation, it sounds just like my other friend that got into an altercation on the boat. And they were trying to
He said it's too clear to be Nolan. It's too clear to be Nolan. How does that make sense? Let me back it up.
it sounds just like my other friend that got into an altercation on the I can't tell. It's too far away. But in that video, I feel like the voices are too clear. Like from the side, it's too clear for it to be that far away, for it to be Nolan.
Oh, so what Javon is stating here is that Nolan was far away. Nolan wasn't anywhere near the altercation. This is what Javon is he's wanting to place Nolan far away. Nolan wasn't nowhere near the altercation. That's what Javon is stating. I don't know, you guys. I need to go back to those interviews because my understanding after listening to Warren's interview with Brandon Tatum, I don't know what led me to believe that Javon was also helping Tristan. I thought Nolan was also helping Tristan when Tristan got into that altercation. But it appears that it was Javon who went to help Tristan. And now Javon is saying that no, Nolan stayed behind. So while this altercation when Tristan is happening, Nolan is nowhere near that. That's what Javon wants us to believe. But do we believe that? Do we believe this?
Arguing. And then also that altercation.
Listen.
It's too clear for it to be that far away. 20 to 15 minutes. I got out there around 11 o'clock. I had walked down to their boat. I had seen them. And it was like a whole bunch of people. I didn't expect it. So I seen Nolan. As soon as I seen Nolan, he's like, "Hey, bro, what you doing? Like, I love you, dog. I love you." And then we were just hanging out, chilling, just having a good time. And then so I want to say around 3:40, 4 o'clock, altercation had happened between one of my other friends. I don't want to say his name, but he had got an altercation. So I went and checked on him for about 20 minutes, 20 to 15 minutes. I came back, Nolan's boat and the people that he was with were gone. But the thing about the two boats that I said, there were two boats tied up. So therefore, I didn't know which boat Nolan exactly was on because they were both tied up.
Javon, have you seen the video that's been going around social media where people think that they're hearing an argument between people and they're wondering whether or not Nolan is one of the people in that argument? You just described that you had another friend, not Nolan, another friend who was in and got into a dispute. Is that video the other argument that you were talking about?
Yes.
So, but is that Nolan in the video?
I can't tell. It's too far away. But in that video, I feel like the voices are too clear. Like from the side, it's too clear for it to be that far away, for it to be Nolan arguing.
See what I'm saying? He is placing Nolan away from this altercation. Do we believe it? Should we believe it?
And then also that altercation, it sounds just like my other friend that got into an altercation on the boat. And they were trying to, as he was in that altercation, I was calming him down. They were trying to get him out off the island. They were trying to get him back to land because he was just losing it. So
describe that. That's kind of interesting. What was that about?
Bro, you know why the situation really sucks? Having drank, that these
good to me. And so it's hard
with you and your friends.
I mean, obviously, it's hard. I post my friend Nolan just to have show everyone that how good of a person he was and try to bring closure to whatever the hell happened. This hurts. I've never lost someone this close to me. And for people to say that I was the last to see him and keep twisting and turning my words and say that how did and his closest friend would have knew his password. So they're trying to say that paint me a picture to been the reason this is happening. I promise you guys, if I was the last person to see Nolan, I seen him by himself, he would have been home with us today. He would be with us today. I would still be able to talk to my friend every single freaking day. And so it really it hurts me so much hearing people say these things. but at the same time, people are just going off what they hear. So it's hard, honestly.
You're saying that when you posted about Nolan, a lot of the comments you're getting are people berating you, saying that you should know more about what happened to him?
Yeah. When I feel like that shouldn't be the case, because I also had a completely different ride out there. He had his own people. I mean, he hangs out with these guys like almost all the time. So I'm thinking he's fine. You know, I'm not thinking nothing of it.
And you never heard of Nolan having any kind of an argument with these guys before? You never heard anything like that?
No, sir.
What are people saying? I mean, these guys,
actually, I'm curious
some of them have gotten lawyers.
Well, I'm curious if the police have. I know they said they're still investigating. Did any investigators ever speak to you about what you saw that day?
No, sir.
That's odd.
What? Could you believe this? No one spoke to you.
See why the cops would have. I don't see why the cops would have to talk to me. I mean, obviously, like, you know, like I had said my plea, like, because whenever I had talked to the people at Sunheard, it was whenever, you know, the body was discovered, and the autopsy people and the all those people were there.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm surprised. Because you knew Nolan well, and you knew that he was friends with these guys who were the last ones to be around him.
And he was there on the island on that day. It's super surprising that he wasn't questioned. Weird. That's weird. Let's see. Is there anything else he says?
Like, it's really hard, like, for like people to just like keep on saying things.
Hold up, that's deep. Nothing adding up to somebody who was round.
Oh, he said it's not adding up.
Like this whole case thing, like whatever, like this whole situation, and none of this adds up to me. So like it's really hard, like for like people to just like keep on saying things.
Hold up, that's deep.
It's not adding up to him. Okay, let's see. What else does he?
Watch what eggs do to your cat's body.
That race plays a factor in whatever happens.
Race question.
I don't want to answer that. I don't want to answer that question. I wouldn't say like, yeah, I wouldn't want to answer that question. I mean, obviously we go to Ocean Springs, we're going to have white friends. So like, that's, I mean, I guess it's pretty normal down here, but.
Yeah, I mean, and I hear you. If that's, I guess you're saying that it's normal. It's not out of place to be a black teen in that area and that you have white friends, right? That's not uncommon is what you're saying.
I'm sure every black person has white friends somewhere, you know? So I wouldn't say that it's a whole race thing, but it's just like, obviously they're going to paint it as that because none of this adds up. So.
Got it. Okay.
All right, Javon.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for this channel to getting that information. That's strange. I know he has another interview out there with his mom, Brandon Tatum. So let's go to Brandon's channel and listen to Warren's interview. Ready? Because we're trying to get a timeline, establish a timeline here, and we're getting all of their statements together. Let's go to the first interview. Bombshell testimony debunks fake audio. No, not that one. New audio. No. The truth about Nolan Wells. Here it is. Part 1. Boom. Okay.
So Warren, I'm going to ask you some very pointed questions. I mean, just straight out. The first thing I want to ask you is,
did you kill Nolan? All right, Warren, we had a chance to get to know each other over the last, 2 days, went out to Horn Island. So I've had an opportunity to talk to you about a few things, and the things that you've told me have literally blown my mind. But the world haven't had a chance yet to hear your story, to hear Nolan's story through you, through his friend. And it's not just you, it's a bunch of y'all. But, you know, some of the other guys were afraid because of the threats and the violence that's been threatened against their lives and all of the above. But you decided that you wanted to take this bold step and give this.
Talked on the phone all the time. We were really close. And I mean, I had a great relationship.
Part that she said
along together, me and a couple of my buddies.
Now, right. This seems like something that I would assume that may have occurred more than just this year.
Yeah, of course.
Was this something that you guys did more than just this year? This is a two-part question. I want to know, is it something that you guys typically did together, that you hang out often in this fashion? And then I want you to then walk me through 4th of July this year when the incident happened.
Okay. You know, being from the Gulf Coast, there's a boating and fishing is very, very popular. The 4th of July, every year, my friends and I, or my family and I, are out on the water. I mean, that's the one day is guaranteed everybody's going out. And that's a known thing. Everybody's trying to get a ride out to Horn Island, or, you know, people go to Ship Island, but most of everybody from Ocean Springs and the Gulf Coast go to Horn Island. And, you know, we went last year. Nolan was on the boat with me last year, and he was, I mean, this was a common thing. My friends go on the boat when we're home. Very, very common. That's what we like to do. My friends like to fish also, and like to go on the boat, not just fishing, but like to go on the boat, like to go on sunset cruises, like to do it all, you know, on the water, you know? And I mean, Nolan loved to do that too. I mean, he was not like he was just like everyone else in our friend group. He loved to go on the water and, you know, have a good time with the guys. And that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat, trying to go out there with us. And he was always welcome to come. Nolan was always out there with us. And, but.
Okay, that part is a little interesting because he first says that everyone was out there. Okay.
Everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always.
He says everybody was out there. And instead of saying, you know, Nolan was out there, he says Nolan was always trying. I found that interesting when I first heard this, and I'm picking up on it again.
Trying to go and, you know, have a good time with the guys. And that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat.
Right? You're expecting him to say everybody was out there, like Nolan was always out there, is what you're expecting him to say here. But he says trying. And he even paused before he said trying to go on the boat. I thought that was interesting. Listen to the pause too. The pause before trying.
Have a good time with the guys. And that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat, trying to go out there with us. And
I don't get the trying. I don't understand why he's using the word trying here. I don't know. But it gave me pause. And the reason why it gave me pause was because of the United Cajun interview. The first interview by Brian Thrasher of the United Cajun Navy. He said that he was told Nolan was swimming trying to get onto a boat. I'm going to play it again because I think this is something. There's something here. There's something here. Listen to it. Let me slow it down just a bit. Ready?
And that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat, trying to go out there with us, and he was always welcome.
This is crazy, you guys. Why did he say Nolan was always trying? Talk to me, chat. Talk to me.
That's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat, trying to go out there with us, and he was always welcome to come. Nolan was.
I don't get this. Let me go to the Cajun Navy interview that I'm talking about. Let me go to that interview. Hey, Max! Get up here! Up here! Can you put them in their room? Hey, sorry, guys. Okay, here we go. Thank you for being here. Thank you. All right, here we go. Let's go to the Brian Thrasher interview. His earliest statements, his very earlier interviews, okay? I have this saved somewhere. Hold on, I'm getting to. How do I go to my saved posts, favorites? Okay, here we go. Of course, does not. I mean, my computer is so fucking fickle that it just wants to work whenever it wants to fucking work. Excuse my language, but it's just freaking annoying. Now, let me do a search for it. It was his very first interview. I bookmarked it on TikTok, but now it's not letting me view any of my bookmarks. The fuck? Maybe this is it. No, this is not it. This really sucks because I think it's important. Otherwise, I wouldn't be looking for it. Okay, Let's look for it another way. Maybe if I do his name. Brian Thrasher. Here it is. I found it. I found it. Okay, perfect. Here we go.
Ready?
Getting carried off.
Ready? Listen to this interview.
I was told that there. I was told.
Listen to this interview, you guys. So we're going to connect. Okay, so this is Brian Thrasher's interview, one of the first ones. This was posted by CBS News on 7/8. This was one of the very first interviews. Okay. So check this out, because if you connect this interview to what Warren just said, okay, check it.
That there was a boat he thought he was. I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving, and that he might have been trying to swim to it. The only problem I have with that story is that if the people in the boat knew he was trying to swim to it, and they saw him getting carried off with the current, they would have known about it. They would have been able to react to it.
Again,
I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving, and that he might have been trying to swim to it.
He was told. Someone told Brian Thrasher this. Listen.
I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving, and that he might have been trying to swim to it.
That there was a boat that was leaving and he might have been trying to swim to it. He was told this. Someone told this man. These are earlier reports, you guys. July 8th. This was posted July 8th. I'm going to play it again. Ready?
I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving, and that he might have been trying to swim to it. The only problem I have with that story is that if the people in the boat knew he was trying to swim to it, and they saw him getting carried off with the current, they would have known about it. They would have been able to react to it.
Exactly.
I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving, and that
he thought that Nolan thought he was going to get on the boat, and that he saw it leaving.
He might have been trying to swim. I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving, and that he might have been trying to swim to it.
Or maybe they were playing a game with him. Or maybe they were playing a game with him. Allegedly, in my opinion, anything's possible. Maybe they were playing a game with him, making him swim onto the boat. Listen, this is something he was told.
I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving, and that he might have been trying to swim to it.
Now, let's go to Warren's interview. Now, listen to Warren's interview. Watch. Ready? Now listen to what he says again here. I hope you guys could hear this. Let me know if you can't hear it. Ready?
Someone else in our friend group, he loved to go on the water and, have a good time with the guys. And that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat.
You hear that? Nolan was always trying to go on the boat. What do you mean trying? What do you mean trying? So was he on the boat or was he not? What do you mean by Nolan was trying to go on the boat?
Trying to go out there with us, and he was always welcome to come. Nolan was always out there with us, and
yeah, but was he there 4th of July though? But was he there 4th of July? Because you're all over the place, Warren. You're all over the place. Listen.
4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was.
Everybody was out there. So I'm expecting him to say, like I said, like Nolan was out there, right? Everybody was out there. Nolan was out there on the boat. I'm expecting him to say this, but this is not what he's saying. He's telling us that everybody was out there, but he's not telling us that Nolan was out there. Listen again.
That's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat.
And then he doesn't tell us Nolan was out there. He doesn't say Nolan was out there, Nolan was on the boat. He says Nolan was trying to go on the boat. That's totally different. Check this out.
Trying to go out there with us, and he was always welcome to come.
Then he goes to the past tense. Now we're not talking about 4th of July anymore. Now we're going past tense. Now we're saying he was always welcome to come out there.
Nolan was always out there.
Nolan was always out there with us.
And
are you guys catching this? He goes from everyone was out there. He says everybody was out there on the 4th of July. Then he says Nolan is always trying to go on the boat. And then he says Nolan was always out there with us. Past tense. Nowhere in this statement has he said that Nolan was out there with them on the 4th of July. This sentence here, this is crazy to me. This shit is crazy to me. Trying to go on the boat to the island, a ride, to catch a ride. That shit is crazy. Mel, I had enough with you. Go somewhere else with your bullshit. I ain't got time for your shit. Thank you, Sanja. Thank you. I'm glad that there's people here that can see eye to eye, and those that don't, they're just choosing not to. You're just choosing not to listen. You're choosing not to listen. Look up the washing machine. Warren mentioned it between Horn and Ship Island. I'm going to go back because this is for my people that understand where I'm coming from. The very beginning of this entire freaking ordeal, from the very beginning of this interview, from the get-go, right? Warren, tell us, Warren, what happened on 4th of July,
Horn
right?
Island, or people go to Ship Island, but most of everybody from Ocean Springs and the Gulf Coast go to Horn Island. And we went last year. Nolan was on the boat with me last year, and he was this was a common thing. My friends go on the boat when we're home. Very, very common. That's what we like to do. My friends like to fish also, and like to go on the boat. Not just fishing, but like to go on the boat, like to go on sunset cruises, like to do it all, on the water, And Nolan loved to do that too. He was not like he was just like everyone else in our friend group. He loved to go on the water and, have a good time with the guys. And that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always.
Isn't that insane? 4th of July, everybody's out there. Okay, so you're expecting him to say, "Oh, 4th of July, everybody's out there. Nolan was out there. We were all out there." But he does something crazy. If it flips, he says everybody was out there, but then he goes somewhere in his mind, he goes to the past, to when Nolan was out there. So now I am questioning, was Nolan even out there on the 4th of July? Did he make it out there on the island? I am now questioning if Nolan did make it out there on the island. What?
A lot, but 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat.
What do you mean Nolan was always trying to go on the boat? On the boat. On the boat.
But trying to go out there with us.
Trying to go out there with us. What do you mean trying? So he didn't? Are you saying he did not? Because he's trying. He's trying to go on the boat. He's trying.
And he was always welcome to come. Nolan was.
And then he goes to the past. He's past tense. Now we're going past tense. Oh, Nolan was always welcome to come.
Always out there with us. And
Nolan was always out there with us. Yeah, buddy, but we're talking about 4th of July here. What are you saying?
But
you get what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about 4th of July. We're not talking about 2 weeks ago or whatever. This is crazy. I don't know.
Started 4th of July, you know, my buddies and I had talked about this weeks upcoming, you know, everybody's very, very excited for the 4th of July from down here. Like it's a big thing.
It's a big deal.
Very, very big deal. And, I mean, I actually stayed with Nolan that night at my buddy's house, and I woke up at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me. And, I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up.
Hold on.
Food. Nolan was not with me. My buddy's house, and I woke up. I actually stayed with Nolan that night at my buddy's house, and
he stayed with Nolan that night. Not we stayed at my buddy's house. It's I stayed with Nolan. Not we stayed at my buddy's house, but I stayed with Nolan. What are you watching him? Like, what the fuck? What do you mean?
Very big deal. And I mean, I actually stayed with Nolan that night at my buddy's house. And
can you have me a beer?
And I woke up at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me. And at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me. And I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck. And well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's.
He already had a boat hooked up to his truck. Okay. When they went out for breakfast, he already had a boat hooked up.
I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck. And well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back, and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went, and with my buddy, and we went, filled the top of the boat off. The boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went, and with my buddy, and we went, Wyatt and I went, and with my buddy, and we went, filled the top of the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water. Then I went to McDonald's and came back, and the boat was already hooked up to my truck at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me. And I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck. And well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back and breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck, and well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went and with my buddy and we went, topped the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot. Came back and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went and with my buddy and we went.
I noticed this is clipped right here. It's clipped.
Wyatt and I went and with my buddy and we went.
Right there. There's a clip. It's clipped. Right here.
The boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went and with my buddy and we went.
With my buddies, I think Trayston is clipped here, which is weird because he later interviews Trayston already. But Wyatt and I went and with someone's name is clipped right here. Ready?
My buddy Wyatt and I went and with my buddy and we went, topped the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach, and I drove the boat from Fort Bayou Boat Launch.
So this part is confusing because he says there was a boat already on
to my buddy.
All right, here this part is confusing because he said he already had a boat hooked up to his truck. Look.
First I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's.
He already says he has a boat hooked up to his truck before he goes to McDonald's.
I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck.
All right, so we already know before he goes to get McDonald's, he has a boat hooked up to his truck. All right, let's continue. Because then he says something about a Palm Beach, all right?
And just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water.
Okay, so I'm assuming Wyatt then has his own truck, right? Warren has a boat. Wyatt has another smaller boat, he says. It's called the Palm Beach.
Which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach, and I drove the boat from.
What are you talking about? You said you already had a boat hooked up to your truck. So what are you talking about here? So we're talking about the same boat? God damn it, these fucking kids.
My buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me, and I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck.
He has his buddy's boat hooked up to the truck already, okay?
And well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back, and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt
was already hooked up to the truck, okay?
And I went and with my buddy and we went, topped the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach, and why I drove the loaded it down with ice and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach, and Wyatt, I drove the boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to my.
So he's saying he drove the Palm Beach over.
My buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where we all plan to meet up that day. And
you say we all, who are you talking about? You, Nolan,
grandparents' house, and that's where we all plan to my buddy's. And why I drove the boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to my buddy's grandparents' house. Why I drove the boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to my buddy.
He drove the Palm Beach over from the Fort Bayou to Jax's grandparents' house. So initially they were at Fort Bayou. They were in Fort Bayou first.
My buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where we all plan to meet up that day. And
you say we all, who are you talking about? You, Nolan, and how many?
And that's where we all plan. Why I drove the boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to my buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where we all plan to meet up that day. And
you say we all, who are you talking about? You, Nolan, and how many people are going to meet you guys there?
We had roughly 20 to 30 people coming on 3 separate boats with us. And so we were all following each other out there as one big group. You know, it wasn't just me and Nolan and a couple other of my buddies. There was 20 or 30 people spread out where we all met at the dock before, and then we departed to go to Horn Island. It wasn't just a couple of us. I mean, there were so many people, we had to split up between 3 boats, and we all left and all got there at the same time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that's clear, because the statements that are out there made it appear that it was just you, Nolan, and probably 2 or 3 other guys, and y'all the only.
So my question is, all right, Warren has the Palm Beach. He's in a truck with the Palm Beach. Wyatt is in his truck with the other vessel, right? Wyatt's in his truck with the Triton vessel? Because how you have one truck, you're not going to pull 3 boats with one truck. They said they were all meeting at the grandparents' house. So how did all the boats get there? I guess that's my question. I'm trying to.
It wasn't just a couple of us. I mean, there were so many people, we had to split up between 3 boats, and we all left and all got there at the same time.
Yeah, I just want to.
All right. So what I should be picturing, yes, Wyatt had the Triton. Okay. So what I should be picturing here is Warren has the Palm Beach in one truck. Wyatt has the Triton in another truck, right? That's what I'm picturing. They're driving these boats to Jax's house, because that's where they're all going to meet. And in Jax's house, does that house have the other 2 boats? You get what I'm saying? Bar had the tide line. So who had the Triton? So then Bart had his own truck with the tide line. Wyatt had his truck with the Triton. Then you have Warren with a Palm Beach. You get what I'm saying? So now you have 3 different individuals, 3 separate trucks bringing their boat over. Is that what I should be picturing? We have these three boys in trucks bringing their boat over. Like, how is this happening? I'm just trying to envision this.
Make sure that's clear, because the statements that are out there made it appear that it was just you, Nolan, and probably 2 or 3 other guys, and y'all are the only ones that went out to this island.
And that's completely incorrect. I mean, Horn Island on the 4th of July is the most popular day to be on the water on, throughout the entire Gulf Coast. I mean, everybody and their mom is on the water on 4th of July, There's no telling. I mean, roughly probably 2 to 3, maybe even 4,000 people out there. There were boats lined up off the island. I mean, there was 3 rows of boats all the way until my vision ended, until I could see of people.
Because look, they said they met here. You guys, I'm just like trying to figure this out. I'm sorry. Let's start over. Like, I need to figure this out before we can get any further. Like, how are all these boats making it to the grandparents' house? Like, how did all these boats make it there? Are you understanding?
When
Listen,
the incident happened.
Okay. Being from the Gulf Coast, there's a boating and fishing is very, very popular. The 4th of July, every year, my friends and I, or my family and I, are out on the water. I mean, that's the one day is guaranteed everybody's going out. And that's a known thing. Everybody's trying to get a ride out to Horn Island, or, people go to Ship Island, but most of everybody from Ocean Springs and the Gulf Coast go to Horn Island. And, we went last year. Nolan was on the boat with me last year, and he was, this was a common thing. My friends go on the boat when we're home. Very, very common. That's what we like to do. My friends like to fish also, and like to go on the boat, not just fishing, but like to go on the boat, like to go on sunset cruises, like to do it all, on the water, And Nolan loved to do that too. I mean, he was not like he was just like everyone else in our friend group. He loved to go on the water and, have a good time with the guys. And that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat, trying to go out there with us.
that part is weird. I'm just gonna say that trying to go on the boat is weird to me. That's weird. Instead of saying Nolan was out there with us on the 4th of July, that's not what he says. It's not what he says. He says Nolan was always trying to go on the boat. No, like if Nolan is a beggar. Like if Nolan is begging. Like if Nolan is some type of beggar. What are you talking about, bro?
Everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat, trying to go out there with us.
See, like Nolan was fucking begging. Fuck out of here, bro.
And he was always welcome to come. Nolan was always out there with us. And
yeah, but we're talking about 4th of July, and see how he hasn't said anything about Nolan being out there with them 4th of July. We're talking about 4th of July.
4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat.
See?
Trying to go out there with us. And he was always welcome to come. Nolan was always out there with us. And
yeah, but we're talking about 4th of July though, bruh.
But started 4th of July, our buddies and I had talked about this week's upcoming, everybody's very, very excited for the 4th of July from down here. Like it's a big thing.
It's a big deal.
Very, very big deal. And I actually stayed with Nolan that night at my buddy's house, and I woke up at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me. And I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck.
Okay, so far there, one boat hooked up to Warren. The Palm Beach is hooked up to Warren's truck. Ready?
And first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back, and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went, and with my buddy, and we went, topped the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach.
Here's where I'm missing. Help me out, chat. Help me out right here. Okay. He says they went to McDonald's. He came back from McDonald's and the Palm Beach was already hooked up to Warren's truck. It was already linked to Warren's truck, okay? So, how did Wyatt put the Palm Beach in the water if it was hooked up to Warren's truck? And weren't they all meeting up at Jax's grandparents' house? So did they drive to Jax's house? And is that when Wyatt put the Palm Beach into the water? You guys understand what I'm trying to say? At what point did Wyatt put the smaller boat in the water? Was like, when did this happen? And was that Palm Beach, wasn't it hooked up to Warren's truck? Because he just said the Palm Beach was hooked up to my truck. So did Wyatt drive Warren's truck and left the Palm Beach and put the Palm Beach into the water? Is that what happened?
Water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach. And I drove the boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to my buddy,
So Warren drove the Palm Beach because it was hooked up to his truck. Warren drove the Palm Beach from Fort Bayou to Jax's house. So I'm not understanding the order, and the order that he's telling this in is like out of order. Because you drove it and then placed it in the water, or you placed it in the water and then drove it. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach. And the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went, and with my buddy, and we went, filled the top of the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach.
But you just said you had the Palm Beach. So what do you mean Wyatt went to put it in the water? You just said you have it. This is not making sense to me. It's not making sense to me. Is there another boat they're hiding? Because it's not.
He's an 18-foot Palm Beach. And I drove the boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to my buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where we all planned to meet up that day. And
you say we all, who you talking about? You, Nolan, and how many people?
Oh, did he mean drove by driving the boat?
Who you talking about? You, Nolan, and how many?
Maybe he meant driving the boat. Hold on.
His smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach. And I drove the boat from...
Oh, he says he drove the Palm Beach.
Fort Bayou boat launch to my buddy.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. I got it now. Wyatt placed the Palm Beach into the water, but he's saying that he drove the Palm Beach boat to Jax's house. So Wyatt was driving another boat and Warren was driving the Palm Beach to Jax's house.
his grandparents' house, and that's where we all planned to meet up that day.
And you say we all, who are you talking about? You, Nolan, and how many people are going to meet you guys there?
We had roughly 20 to 30 people coming on 3 separate boats with us. And so we were all following each other out there as one big group. You know, it wasn't just me and Nolan and a couple other of my buddies. There was 20 or 30 people spread out where we all met at the dock before, and then we departed to go to Horn Island. It wasn't just a couple of us. I mean, there were so many people, we had to split up between 3 boats, and we all left and all got there at the same time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that's clear, because the statements that are out there made it appear that it was just you, Nolan.
Entire Gulf Coast. I mean, everybody, all the way until, the island, but just where we were.
You're saying there's multiple people, probably 20 or 30 people getting on 3 boats.
Right.
What boat were you on, and what boat was Nolan on?
Nolan was on Wyatt's 22 Triton. On the way out, I went with my buddy.
On the way out. So he's specifically stating that Nolan on the way out was on the Triton, Wyatt's boat. How about on the way in, Warren? How about on the way in? What boat was he on the way in? I think it's interesting that he made sure to say on the way out.
On the way out, I went with my buddy Bart.
Very interesting that he said on the way out. Leaves it open to speculating how about on the way in, right?
Because we had a lot of friends from college coming down, and I called Bart that morning. I was like, hey man, can you take your boat out? And he was like, because we had a lot of friends from college coming down, and
they had a lot of friends from college coming down.
I called Bart that morning. I was like, hey man, can you take your boat out? And he was like, yeah, well, my dad's decided not to go, and I'll take the boat, and I'll take you and your friends. Of course. I mean, he's a buddy of mine. I'll take you and your friends. That morning, I was like, hey man, can you take your boat out? And he was like, yeah, well, my dad's decided not to go, and I'll take the boat, and I'll take you and your friends. Of course. I mean,
so Bart wasn't going. Wait. There were too many kids that they needed an extra boat. So that's why he called on Bart.
Your boat out. And he was like, yeah, well,
hey man, can you take your boat out? He asked Bart because there were just too many people. They needed an extra boat. And he said, yeah.
My dad's decided not to go, and I'll take the boat.
According to him, Bart's dad was going to go and he decided not to. Bart's dad was going, but he decided not to go.
I'll take you and your friends, of course.
Warren says, Bart says, I'll take the boat and I'll take you and your friends. Okay. So now we have Wyatt driving the Triton. We have Warren driving the Palm Beach. And now we have another driver, Bart. Captain Wyatt, Captain Warren, and Captain Bart. Now, Bart is driving a black boat. Titling, yeah. So we have 3 captains here. Captain Warren, Captain Wyatt, and Captain Bart. 3 boats so far. All right.
I mean, he's a buddy of mine. And so Bart pulled up at the dock, and I mean, I rode out there with Bart, and a lot of the girls that go to college with my friends and I, and Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4.
Wait a second. You rode, you rode, we can't have 2 captains in one boat. Hold on, we can't have 2 captains in one boat.
A lot of
What's
the girls
going on here? This is the autopilot boat going on here.
Bart pulled up at the dock, and I mean, I rode out there with Bart, and
I rode out there with Bart. Okay. All right. I rode out there with Bart. How did you ride out there with Bart when you just said you rode the Palm Beach? Wait. The Palm Beach was attached to your truck. So you rode out there with Bart. Now this doesn't make sense to me again. You see what I mean, you guys? You see what's going on here?
my dad decided not to go, and I'll take the boat, and I'll take you and your friends. Of course, I mean, he's a buddy of mine. And so Bart pulled up at the dock, and I mean, I rode out there with Bart, and a lot.
Hold on. Warren rode with Bart on the Triton. Bart drove the tide line. Wyatt drove the Triton. No one knows who drove the Palm Beach on the... No, Warren did. Warren just said he had the Palm Beach in his truck. So this is why I'm confused, because I have 3 captains. I have Wyatt riding the Triton. We have Warren riding the Palm Beach and Bart riding the Tideland. So now I'm confused again. What's up, Real Talk? Just because he picked up, I know, but I'm trying to account for all the boats. So then who's driving the other boat then? I know, but thank you so much, Peace. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's go back.
All of the girls that go to college with my friends and I rode out there with Bart, and a lot of the girls that go to...
Okay, so when he says I rode out there, that means he was on the boat with Bart, right? Chat, is that correct? When he says I rode out there with Bart, that means he was on the boat with Bart. Am I correct? And we know that Bart has the black Tideland, right? Bart has, according to the MDMR report, Bart owns the black Tideland, okay? So cool. He rode out there with Bart. So now we have Warren on Bart's boat. So my question is, who is piloting the Palm Beach? Who is the captain of the Palm Beach then? Because I was under the impression that Warren was piloting the Palm Beach boat. But according to Warren, he says that he was riding out there with Bart.
And Bart, I called Bart that morning. I was like, "Hey, man, can you take your boat out?" And he was like, "Yeah, well, my dad decided not to go, and I'll take the boat, and I'll take you and your friends." Of course, I mean, he's a buddy of mine. And so Bart pulled up at the dock, and I mean, I rode out there with Bart, and a lot of the girls that go to college with my friends and I.
That's crazy. No one knows who drove the Palm Beach? Are you kidding? No one knows who drove the Palm Beach boat? What in the world? But you see why it wasn't making sense? You see why it wasn't making sense? Because I thought that Warren was driving the Palm Beach. That's crazy. Okay, let's continue.
And Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys
Okay, we know Nolan was on the Triton. That's Wyatt's boat. Okay.
on that. There was like 8 people on the Triton.
He says there's 4 guys on the Palm Beach.
We had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys on that.
4 guys, but he's not telling us who was on that one, okay?
There was like 8 people on the Triton, and then there was 8 or 9 people on the Triton, and then there was the rest of the group, which was probably ranged from maybe 10 to 15 or 16 people on my buddy's tide line, which is 24 tide line.
And so you guys get on, and I know a little bit more than the audience.
So Bart's boat is the biggest boat then, 24 tide line. So he has the biggest. Bart has the biggest boat. That black boat that we have no GPS data on. We have 0 GPS data on that black boat, and that's the boat where Warren is, Bart is, and about 10 to 16 people.
Do because we went out there a little earlier because I wanted to see exactly what the drive was like, what the dock was like, how far it is out there.
Of course.
But I want you to tell, the audience, like, what was this trip like? How was the waters? Did you guys do anything in between the time you rode and the time you get to the island? Was there music? Is it like a big party? Like what is that?
Yeah, well,
what stupid question is this? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what a waste of questions here with this guy. Like, what type of question is that? Don't you want to know what happened to Nolan? Because it sure as hell doesn't seem like it with these stupid ass nonsensical questions.
It wasn't like we were getting really beat up or anything. I mean, it was pretty calm.
And so you guys get out there. I'm assuming that you line the boats up because I'm envisioning the picture of getting out there and there's hundreds of boats. Mm-hmm. There's thousands of people. Yeah. So it wasn't just you guys.
Yeah, how many times you're going to fucking say that it wasn't just you guys? Yeah, we are fully aware of that by this point. At this point,
early afternoon. I mean, it wasn't, but 10:30 is, it's still pretty early in the day. And when we got there was already 3 rows of boats lined up all the way, like I said, until I could see. And
you're talking when you say all you can see, you're speaking
because they want to be around other people. And the East End's a little more. There's not as many people, but there's still a lot of boats out there. I mean, it's not like no one. I mean, every area of Horn Island was covered.
Okay, we understand. It was busy.
Have you ever seen a product that transforms any ordinary?
We completely get it. A whole hour and 55 minutes of a waste of fucking interview. Not one legit question was asked.
And, food, whatever else.
Not one difficult question was asked here. Anything to bring us some truth as to what happened to Nolan. Nothing at all.
When we got there, I helped my buddies tie the boats up because the tie line was right here, the Palm Beach was in the middle, and then the Triton was on the outer side. And there was about a drop off from where the bow was. I mean, if you jumped off the bow, you're probably about neck deep in water. But from where Triton was on, please tie the boats up because the tie line was right here, the Palm Beach was in the middle, and then the Triton was on the outer side. And there was about a drop off from where the bow was. I mean, if you jumped off the bow, you were probably about neck deep in water. But if you got off the stern, you were probably waist deep in water. I mean, but
you see how he talks about these 3 boats? No, I have yet to see a good footage or picture of these boats. I mean, the United Cajun Navy came out with these reports of images and photos. I don't see that black boat. There's no way. I do not see that black tide line boat. The way he's explaining how it was the tide line, the Palm Beach, and the Triton, No way. I don't see that shit.
When we got there, we tied up, got, bow and rear anchor set, and we tied up all the boats, made sure they were good, and everyone just got on the water. And then eventually, next thing you know, it's our group. And then, next thing you know, there's 50 other people around us. And then it just grew and grew as the day came on. It's a big party, basically. Big party.
Students
Right.
out on the ice friend group.
Right. Like looking and pointing anyone out because there's so many people out there. I mean, I was talking to my friends that I haven't seen in a while from high school. I was talking from people I knew from college. I was talking to, I don't just, fish around Horn Island. I fish around Ship Island. I had a couple conversations with Nolan and Javon, Nolan and my buddy James, Nolan. And I mean, I could tell you, I talked to Nolan a couple times, but it wasn't like I was strictly sitting there talking to Nolan the whole day. I mean, there was hundreds of people I knew out there. So,
yeah. And Nolan said something interesting. You told me about this. Something he said to you, I would say would be indicative of y'all's friendship.
Right.
And then he also mentioned something to you about that.
Wait, but I'm sorry, you guys. He said he arrived at 10:30 a.m. You guys are saying that you don't know who drove the Palm Beach. But Warren says he drove it. Wait, let's back up. Cuz Warren says he drove the Palm Beach.
I mean, I had a great.
You said you kind of grew up together.
And at my buddy's house. We never went to Nolan's house and hung out. We're at Nolan's house, which, there's nothing wrong with that. But we were in class all year long together, me and a couple of my buddies, and hang out.
4th of July, where you guys were all going out.
Right.
This seems like something that I would assume that may have occurred more than just this year.
Yeah, of course.
Was this something that you guys did more than just this year? This is a two-part question. I want to know, is this something that you guys typically did together?
Okay. Being from the Gulf Coast, there's a boating and fishing is very, very popular. That's a known thing. Everybody's trying to get a ride out to Horn Island, or, people go to Ship Island, but most of everybody from Ocean Springs and the Gulf Coast go to Horn Island. And, we went last year. Nolan was on the boat with me last year, and he was, this was a common thing.
It was clipped there too.
On the boat with me last year, and Springs and the Gulf Coast go to Horn Island. And, we went last year. Nolan was on the boat with me last year, and he was, this was a common thing. My friends go on the boat. Very common. That's like to go on the water, and Nolan loved to do that too. I mean, he was not like he was just like everyone else in our friend group. He loved to go on the water. And
yeah, Nolan's love to do that too. He's just like my white friends,
have a good time with the guys. And that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat, trying to go out there with us. And he was always welcome to come. Nolan was always out there with us. And, but started 4th of July, my buddies and I had talked about this week's upcoming, everybody's very, very excited for the 4th of July from down here. Like it's a big thing.
It's a big deal.
Very, very big deal. And, I actually stayed with Nolan that night at my buddy's house, and I woke up at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food.
I don't know the way he, like, some of his wording, like, it doesn't. I stayed with Nolan, not Nolan stayed with us, or I actually stayed with Nolan. What does that mean? You stayed with Nolan? I actually stayed with Nolan that night. You stayed with Nolan. I don't know. Some of this wording is very interesting. Not we stayed at my friend's house, like, not we stayed over at my friend's house. It's like I stayed with Nolan.
At my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me, and I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck, and well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back, and the boat was already.
First, I ran to my house. What?
First, I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's, and my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me, and I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck, and well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back, and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I.
So he was at all this happened at your house. Your truck was at your house and all of this stuff. Where was Nolan during all this? Where was Nolan during all of this here?
Then I went to McDonald's and came back, and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went, and with my buddy, and we went, topped the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach, and I drove the boat from.
See? He drove the boat. He drove the Palm Beach boat. He says, and Wyatt, he corrected himself, I drove the boat. He says it right here. He drove the Palm Beach.
Fort Bayou boat launch to my boat.
From the Fort Bayou boat launch to Jax's house. He drove that Palm Beach boat. So Wyatt was piloting the Triton from Fort Bayou to Jax's house. And Warren was piloting the Palm Beach from Fort Bayou to Jax's house. According to what Warren is saying here.
My buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where we all planned to meet up that day.
So initially, he was driving that Palm Beach boat.
And you say we all, who are you talking about? You, Nolan, and how many people are going to meet you guys there?
We had roughly 20 to 30 people coming on 3 separate boats with us. And so we were all following each other out there as one big group.
Right?
It wasn't just me and Nolan.
Right? Lodi, El Hadi. It's not just me. Stayed with Nolan? What do you mean stayed with Nolan? Like he's a baby? Like he's a dog that you have to stay with Nolan? Oh, I stayed with Nolan. Like he's a child that you have to care for him? You have to stay with him? I'm sorry, that's wild. I thought this was weird too. His wording is interesting. Stayed with Nolan. It's not like, oh, we stayed over at my buddy's house. It's I stayed with Nolan that night. It's a free country. It's a free goddamn country. We can overthink whatever we fucking want. Make your own channel. Call it the not thinking channel. The underthinking channel. Like, seriously? What you talking about? We overthink shit. Trying to get answers here. Yeah, he likes to say buddies instead of names. Anyways, let's keep it moving.
And a couple other of my buddies. There was.
All right, let's go back to. Let's do part 2. let's look at the deck again. This is part 2. Part 3. Part 2 is right here. Here we go. Yeah, let's look at this deck again. Here we go.
I think I've officially outgrown this bed.
Okay, I think I just became an adult. I bought an actual bed from Thuma, not the this will do for now.
Ready? Okay.
Catch, and there's water up to the battery.
Here we go.
All the way out to Horn Island and back. The boys are going to explain to me exactly what went on, how many people were there, how many boats were taken out, which I think the world is going to be completely dumbfounded when they realize what the truth really is, because the lies have been pervasive. So we're right here where Nolan left on the boat, and you'll find out how many people were there, how many boats, and then we're going to take that same path out. I'm going to go look at Horn Island and see exactly where they could have been to get a perspective that the media don't even care to try to do. And then we're going to take the trek back, and we're going to find out exactly what happened to Nolan. This is the reason why I'm here, man. I want you guys to have a voice. I want you guys to be able to speak out and show what the truth really is, and then let the world decide. I just don't want you guys to end up in a situation where your story never gets heard. Right here is where Nolan and probably 20 other kids got on the boat. So
we were told 30. So now it's 20 because we were told 30. I mean, you guys keep switching it up.
It's not just Nolan and 3 other kids. That was a lie. That was a myth. I'm going to prove that. Right here is where the kids were docking, and we're going to show you a video that coincided. I'm going to walk at the exact angle that the video is being broadcast from, so you know that I'm exactly where I say I am. But the boys were here. Tons of people you'll see on the video is getting onto the boat.
Okay. So I see 3 boats. So we should see a Triton, a Palm Beach, and a Tideline. These are the 3 boats we should see, right? Because that's what that's what Warren said. We were all meeting here. Okay.
And they took 3 boats out.
This is at 9:54. Remember, the GPS on that Triton, starts, it leaves at 9:56 a.m. It takes off at 9:56 a.m. Now, it's 9:54.
It wasn't just one, it wasn't just Nolan and 3 and 4 boys. It was a multitude of people on several different boats, and some of the boys that they're accusing wasn't even on the boat that Nolan was on. But let me show you.
Okay, you see this boat they're showing us here? That's not the Triton. That can't be the Triton, is it? This is not the Triton because I have a photo of the Triton. I screen recorded it. Hold on. This is the Triton. Hold on 1 second. Wait. That could be the Triton. Give me 1 second. I took a screenshot of that photo. It could be it. Okay. This is the Triton right here. Okay, now let's match it up. Yeah. Hold on. That could be it. Except
from the vantage point where I have the video.
So can we catch Nolan here? Or can we see Nolan here? How can we catch Nolan on this boat?
But let me show you
Was Nolan on this boat?
from the vantage point where I have
How do we know if Nolan was on the boat? That's the thing.
on. But let me show you from the vantage point where I boys that they're accusing wasn't even on the boat that Nolan was on. But let me show you from the vantage point where I have the video to prove that I'm here where I say I am. And so right now, here's the angle that you're gonna see on the footage. It's just from probably that boat to maybe about 30, 40 feet here to the right. And this is where the video is showing.
Okay. Where's the Triton here? You see these two boats. There's no Triton here.
How many people were actually out there, actually getting on the boats.
There goes Nolan.
So therefore it debunks very clearly that it was only Nolan and 4 boys.
And then he does something weird. I don't understand why Nolan goes down here. Why does Nolan go down here?
Very clearly that it was
this?
only.
What is Nolan doing over here? What does he see? You guys see that?
Nolan and 4 boys going out. So therefore it debunks
Isn't that
very
weird?
clearly that it was only Nolan and 4 boys
What does he go do?
getting on the boats. So therefore it debunks very clearly that it was only Nolan and 4 boys going out here to Horn Island. About the sunglasses, it's very bright out here, and I never wear sunglasses, but here in the same position, you have the Horn Island here.
Okay.
But I want you guys to put this in your mind, what this was like on that day. You have boats 2, 3, 4 deep from way down there where you can see all the way through here. You have
What boat is this?
thousands of people on this island, probably 2,000 people. So this wasn't some abandoned, secluded island where nobody's at. Obviously, this is a Monday, and there's a few people on the backside of the island, not a lot of people here. But on 4th of July, this is a celebration. And so this wasn't a small place where place was flooded because it was on the boat. People were putting out on social media knowing that they're lying. It's a flat out lie.
Okay, let's hear what Warren says right here. Fake teeth? What the fuck? All right.
Thing that you want to say, you want people to know about this whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's not from here, it's kind of hard to understand, where the island drops off and how the island works. But, there's plenty of people out here, especially on the 4th of July. This is where people come out to celebrate. And, I mean, if you fill the water, you could see right here, Brandon, where it drops off. I mean, you could see literally where it drops off. So, I mean, it goes from about waist deep water right there to neck deep. And then it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile out the island and when we were leaving, and I mean, it was.
You think that boat is the tide line? They were at Jax's house, right? So Tatum was allowed into Jax's house. I mean, they even gave Tatum footage, their Ring camera or whatever it is. They even gave him access to their ring camera and all of that. You think that boat out there is a tide line? Let's look at it again. This boat right here. It says Mercury 4-stroke, the engine, or whatever it's called. I don't know if that says anything. You think this is a tide line? I Googled it. It says that tide lines they do use the mercury.
All right, you guys. But I want you guys to put this in your mind what this was like on that day. You have boats 2, 3, 4 deep from this island.
This one. You guys think that's a tideland? That black boat? You think this is Bart's? Wait, no. That can't be Bart. I don't know. We have yet to see Bart's boat. Let's be real. Has anyone have a sighting of Bart's boat anywhere? Jax told Tobin he was on the boat when it popped the plug and got it back after Nolan's phone was thrown at the kid with the baseball cap. Whoever did the editing of the interview did a horrible job. We can tell where it's cut. Yes, we can tell. For real. So anyway, do you guys think this is Bart's boat?
Probably all the way through here. You have thousands of people on this island. Probably 2,000 people. So
That's crazy. All right, let's hear what Warren says, and then I have to start dinner.
Here, Brandon, where it drops off. I mean, you could see literally where it drops off. So, I mean, it goes from about waist deep water right there to neck deep, and then it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile out the island, and when we were leaving,
we were a quarter mile out the islands. Yes, because the GPS data on the Triton that Wyatt was in, that GPS data of only the Triton says that it was stationed up until 4:30. And then from 4:30 to 5:25, it was still within the what did he
quarter mile out the island.
Quarter mile. They were still within a quarter mile off the island. They did not leave the island until 5:25.
And when we were leaving, and I mean, it was 30 foot of water.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 30 when we were leaving, and when we were leaving, and when we were leaving, it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile out the island, and when we were leaving.
Notice his left hand goes when we were leaving. This is weird. Look at this. He has one hand saying we were here, and then the other left hand showing when we were leaving. Like, does that make sense? You're here and then we were leaving. So where are you? Where are you? He's like, we're this way, that way. Where you at? Where you at, bro? Look at this.
And I mean, it was off the island, and when we were leaving, and I mean, it was 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile off the island, and when we were leaving, and
we were here. When we were leaving, we were here. Bro, what are you saying?
I mean, it was 30 foot of water.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're walking towards the east right now, but if you walk down to the west, that's where the west tip of the island is, and that's where the current picks up very, very bad.
People talk about the phone situation. I want the phone situation.
That's where the west tip.
Oh, why weren't you over there though? Why were you over here and not in the western tip where the incident actually happened?
The island is, and that's where the current picks up very, very bad.
People talk about the phone situation. I want because the way you articulate it, I just walk in the water with my pants on, they're wet. And you can tell right away that if you're hanging out in the water, it doesn't appear, in my opinion, that you would have your phone on you. Is that typical for people to have their phones, or?
No, I mean, people come out here, especially on the 4th and, Memorial Day, like, days like that, they come out here to.
Yes, he says 17 to 20. And then on the phone with the CHO, they say 1730, right? They say 17 foot, no, 30 foot. Watch. You're right
here,
about that.
especially on the 4th and, Memorial Day, like, days like that, they come out here to celebrate, and people get on the water to be off their phones, first off. Second off, if I'm sitting waist deep in water and all my friends are
water, it doesn't appear, in my opinion, that you would have your phone on you. Is that?
And that's where the current picks up very, very bad.
People talk about the phone situation.
20 foot. I mean, Brandon, where it drops off. I mean, you can see literally where it drops off. So, I mean, it goes from about waist deep water right there to neck deep. And then it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile off the island. And when we were leaving, and I mean, it was 30 foot of water.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're walking towards the east right now, but if you walk down to the west, that's where the west tip.
So when they were leaving, they were at 30 foot of water when they were leaving. What did they do why were they stationed a quarter mile from the islands? Thank you. Yeah. Why were they stationed a quarter mile off the islands? Like, what made them move a quarter mile off the islands? Exactly, right?
If you walk down to the west, water right there to neck deep, and then it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile off the island, and to neck deep, and then it drops. See literally where it drops off. So, I mean, it goes from about waist deep water right there to neck deep, and then it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile off the island, and when
he says we were a quarter mile off the islands. Why? Like, what were you doing there, right? Why were you there? Why were you there? A quarter mile off the island.
You're leaving, and
he says when they were leaving.
I mean, it was 30 foot of water.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're walking towards the east right now, but if you walk down to the west, that's where the west tip of the island is, and that's.
It's like that's where they were when they made the sea toll call. It just looks staged to me, in my opinion. That's all I'm gonna say about that. They were sinking and couldn't move till they got a tow. But they were a quarter mile from the islands, though. The washing machine is a local term for a dangerous stretch of churning water and rip currents off the northwestern tip of Horn Islands. Yeah, I heard of that. It could be 3 years before the grand jury hands over a verdict. Hold your breath. I know, right? That's crazy. Why is it that Warren is leading? Damn. Let's continue.
Very, very bad.
People talk about the phone situation. I want to, because the way you articulate it, I just walked in the water with my pants, they're wet. And you can tell right away that if you're hanging out in the water, it doesn't appear, in my opinion, that you would have your phone on you. Is that typical for people to have their phones, or?
No, I mean, people come out here, especially on the 4th and, Memorial Day, days like that, they come out here to celebrate, and people get on the water to be off their phones, first off. Second off, if I'm sitting waist deep in water, and all my friends are, everybody's leaving their phone on a boat, in a lake, if you're sitting on a pond, and
I mean, that's not the actual question Tatum should be asking. The question should be, why did you have Nolan's phone, right? Why'd you have Nolan's phone?
Getting out of the water with their phone in their hand, unless, it's to take a quick picture. But most of the pictures taken on the 4th of July were on the boat.
Yeah.
I mean, and, salt water, if you drop your phone in salt water, most of the time you're not going to get it back.
The question is, why did you have Nolan's phone? That is the question. Why'd you have Nolan's phone? And then why did you call Nolan's mom and ask Nolan's mom have you heard from Nolan? Meanwhile, you have the phone. Oh my God, it's just too much.
I mean, especially the water's murky right now because there's been a lot of rain. You can't see, the visibility isn't good. The water isn't clear like it was last year around this time. And, no one has their phone though, usually. I mean, unless you're crazy, I'm not walking around with my phone.
There was a lot of people walking around. A lot of people had their phone. Obviously, we saw footage of what was going on, and that's because people had their phone.
In my hand, they've been walking around Horn Island.
So they're just dismissing the fact that it's unusual. They're dismissing that it's not unusual for someone not to have a phone. But to me, it's super unusual, especially if you're leaving your friend behind. He needs his phone, right?
All the way down the island. And there was rows. There was a first row, there's a second row. We were in the third row where it drops off. And then there was even boats in front of us. And this went all the way down towards the east end of the island. And then there was people on the east tip. And we're on the north side now, but there was people on the south side too, lined up all the way down. And if you talk to anybody on the coast about this, they know that. Yeah. I mean, 4th of July, this is the hot spot. This is where people want to be. This is where people want to come out, hang out with their family and friends. And
people say that you guys just left Nolan behind. I've seen reports of people saying that you just left him. I see reports of people saying that you asked him to get on the boat. You told him to get on the boat. He didn't. What's the truth in that?
Well, Wyatt was having boat issues and the bilge wouldn't pump. So the bilge is basically a pump that releases water from your boat when water comes in. So I opened the back hatch, pump that releases.
The question was about Nolan, and here he is explaining a bilge pump. I just can't. This is infuriating.
What's the truth in that?
Well, Wyatt was having boat issues and
it's infuriating. The question is about Nolan, and he's talking about a bilge pump.
The bilge wouldn't pump. So the bilge is basically a pump that releases water from your boat when water comes in. So I opened the back hatch.
Oh, okay. So you left Nolan behind because there was a bilge pump? That's what you're saying? Is that why you left Nolan behind? Because the question is, why'd you leave Nolan behind? So you left Nolan behind because Wyatt was having boat problems? Is that it? I'm just trying to understand here. Wait a second. Because the question was, why'd you leave Nolan behind? Right?
What's the truth in that?
Well, Wyatt was having boat issues.
So you left Nolan behind because Wyatt's having boat issues. Is that what you're saying, Warren? Like, literally?
And the bilge wouldn't pump. So the bilge is basically a pump that releases water from your boat when water comes in. So I opened the back hatch and there's water up to the batteries. And that is obviously not good. There's water almost coming over the transom, which is where your motors sit, and which is the, by the stern, like in the back part of the boat. So obviously we were in emergency. The boat, we're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with, and the girls witnessed that too.
Yeah. I'm glad you cleared that up, because I think it's important for people to have.
No, you didn't clear anything up. You didn't answer the question.
Witnessed that too.
Yeah. I'm glad you.
It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan coming over the transom, which is where your motors sit, and which is the, by the stern, like in the back part of the boat. So obviously we were in emergency. The boat, we're trying to save the boat.
Sorry, Nolan. We're just trying to save the boat. Sorry, Nolan. We're trying to save the boat, my dude.
It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan.
Notice when he says left, how he does his arms like if you're placing something. I caught this on the first time I watched it. When he says left, is as if you're like he's placing something down, like left. Notice that. Notice his hands.
Decided to stay on the save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. So obviously we were in emergency.
Notice when he says left, his hand movements. Ready?
The boat, we're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with, and the girls witnessed that too.
Yeah. I'm glad you cleared that up, because I think it's important for people to have the context of like what it was on that day, what happened, what didn't happen, and the beauty of all.
Dawn, you probably just got here, but rewind this because we did play the press conference. Mom and dad said it is not like Nolan. Nolan would not. He would not. So I believe the parents. They know their kid. I believe that Nolan would not have stayed behind.
All of this is that you guys have evidence, right, to prove that, of course, you asked Nolan to come on and different things like that. So, but anyway, man, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Giving me a rundown of kind of what it was like on that day,
right?
And hopefully people can understand what the truth is,
right,
and make their own decision on facts.
Right. I mean, based off people. There's not a lot of people that are from the Mississippi Gulf Coast that don't understand Horn Island and
different things like that. So, but anyway, man, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Giving me a
hatch, and there's water up to the batteries, and that is obviously not good. There's water almost coming over the transom, which is where your motors sit, and which is the, by the stern, like in the back part of the boat. So, obviously, we were in emergency. The boat, we're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask.
Yeah, it was cut right there. Is that what you're talking about? Yep. Right after he says they were trying to save the boat, cut.
The boat, we're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with, and the girls witnessed that too.
Yeah. I'm glad you cleared that up, because I think it's important for people to have.
Okay. You guys, thank you for being here today. I mean, there's just so much to cover. I always feel bad when I end the stream because it's not even half of what we want to go over. I just don't. There's something wrong with this case. There's something wrong with this case, and we're going to continue poking holes in these interviews and trying to get to the truth about what happened to Nolan Wells, okay? Because something happened to Nolan and someone knows something, okay? I'm going to end this here. I'll come back. Justice for Nolan. Justice for Nolan. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you.